Well, you can make the assumption that if Genesis is playing, I'm going to let it play out a little bit longer. I love the smooth tones of my man Phil Collins. The Godfather is here. Chris Burkhardt is here. You got the Rip City Drive. Godfather, I'm looking at video right now of French feminists who are mopping topless to protest right-wing success in elections. We need more protests like this in Portland.
I was just going to say, that's the first protest you've ever been in favor of in your life right there.
It is, and I was just asking if there was a way we could get boobies into the show, and then boom, it magically appeared right before me, and there you go.
They had something to get off their chest, Chad. What can I tell you?
If they feel the need to do this, I'm okay with it. I have no issue with this protest whatsoever.
They did get your attention, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed right now because I just realized like 2 minutes before the show that I left my earbuds at home, and so now I've got the ridiculous over-the-top headphones on. I used to be only over-the-top headphones until I discovered the genius of earbuds, and so now I'm really bitter because it feels different, it sounds different, and I like things to be the same. But what I realized happened is when I fell asleep last night, Puppy Shots was lying on top of my earbuds that I had sitting on my bed, and so when I got up earlier this morning, he was still on top of them. And so when I put everything together to leave the crib, he was hiding them. And so I blame Puppy Shots for this unfortunate situation.
You know, dogs are good for that kind of thing. You can always blame your dog for just about anything.
Oh, man. I got up early today, and I met my buddy Joshua over at Forest Hills Golf Course to get around to golf in. And my man Marcus, you have met Marcus, great guy, and that's a golf course has been in the area since 1927, but I'm a big fan of locally owned golf courses. But the work that they've been doing out there, Godfather, first off, the fairways this morning, I felt like I was walking on pillowy clouds, which is always nice.
He does the work himself, right?
He does.
The owner?
He went back to school to get a turf management degree.
That's great.
I think when he was younger and he had graduated from college, he's like, I don't want any part of the family biz, right?
Yeah, most kids say that.
He got away, traveled a bit, and he's like, you know what? I think I want to get back to the golf course. So he got a degree in turf management, which is above my pay grade, but he did it so he could really understand the earth and the grounds and how to properly manicure everything. And so he's gone to work. And the biggest things that I noticed, one, the greens are in phenomenal condition. Number two, the widening of that green on the par 4, number 16, which is their signature hole.
Yeah.
It was good last year, but now it's in spectacular condition. And with the fairway setup, you got a dual fairway, so you can go right on the right side of the tree, you can stay left. And then when you're hitting up to that green now, it's a much bigger target, which is nice.
I played that course, and I have to tell you, those dual fairways confused me. I had no warning on that. I just walked up to the tee box
and just whacked
what
away.
am I supposed to do now?
Yes, and then what they've done on the par 3 17 is they have changed the tee box around, so it's really nice. And they've also adjusted the green as well. So the course was playing in mint condition, and I'm going to be out there all week. So I've got another tee time tomorrow. I've got a set tee time all week out of Forest Hills, so I'll be out there playing. But it was just great to be out there. Monday morning, played with a couple of cool dudes who both work at Costco. And Josh, enjoyed being out there with him. But, yeah, man, Marcus has been going to work. It was spectacular out there. Love it. What was it like out at Willamette Valley this morning, looking over the course in the beautiful morning?
Beautiful. I'm going to hit the driving range when I get home tonight and do a little work. I played last night, yesterday afternoon, I guess. And I found out there's a few little things I need to sharpen up, Chad.
Also, we'll get to this later in the show, but I'll just let you know right now, and I apologize for what I'm about to show you because it's kind of unfortunate. But this morning was the morning that I decided to say goodbye to crew socks, which I've been wearing for...
Oh, no, wait a minute. I saw this already. I chose to be a nice guy and not say anything to you.
Just look at this, Godfather.
Oh, God, it's horrendous.
Now, you got to
put
keep
that in the
mind,
air so YouTube can see.
All right, let me put it in the air.
Yeah, stick
I want
that up
YouTube
there.
to be... I'm not sure they want to see this, but...
You got to pull up. Yeah, there you go.
See? I'm like a two-tone human being.
Yeah, tell the people.
Okay, here's what's been
listening
going on. So I'm the type of guy that, let's say that I had the fortune of ever making love, I would be wearing socks. I wear socks all the time. I wear socks when I go to bed. I wear socks when I get up.
Goodness gracious.
I always wear socks. And the reason why is because my feet, when they get cold, I'm done, man. I can't do it. So I always wear socks. And I've worn socks all the time ever since I was young. The problem is that wearing crew socks over a long period of time has created this unfortunate two-tone coloring situation that I've got going on. And my daughter's starting to make fun of me. And so I finally decided to drop the crew socks. And I thought maybe the sunlight will help. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I'm sorry I had to show that to you, but I just had to come clean. Look, I'm not happy about it. I'm not proud, but something's got to be done. I need a sock intervention, Godfather.
Yeah, I think I don't think anybody's ever mentioned this to you, but you might think about using some makeup on that pale skin. Just kind of darken it up a little bit, make it match the rest of your leg.
You think my cankles might get sunburnt out there now after not seeing sunlight
You
for
better,
like 40 years?
you better put sunblock on there for sure. Don't you? See, my whole thing is I like the low socks, the little ankle sock, whatever those are called, But I hate it when they tend to fall down into your shoe.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing in the world.
Oh,
It
my
feels
gosh.
terrible. But I think I found a couple brands that stay up, so I'm sticking to that.
I'm a hideous human being. I mean, if you just boil it right down to the bottom line, I'm a hideous human being. Like, I don't even know how I got to this point, but I know that it shouldn't be that white and it should match up. So I'm hoping the sunlight will help me. Now, you and Burkhart on Saturday were over at the practice facility as the Trailblazers welcomed Donovan Clingan, their top draft pick out of UConn, to town. What was your takeaway from Clingan, as you got a chance to hear from him on Saturday?
Well, I think well-mannered, intelligent, young man, just kind of what we thought, really. We've seen him enough on interviews already because of UConn's success in the tournament. But, nice sense of humor, knows why he's here. He's aware of the situation, that there might not be a lot of wins next year. He seems that he's ready to handle that. He's going to be an asset to this team. I have that feeling. I think his attitude and optimism are going to be good.
I'm excited about the resurgence of the American white-born big man in the NBA. Started by Chad Holmgren and hopefully continued by Donovan Clingan. Burkhart, you were there. I'm curious what your takeaway was from Clingan, just in getting a chance to hear from him and the way he carried on during the course of the press conference.
Yeah, I just really like the fact that he was talking a lot about defense. Like, he talked about how, he can shoot the three. Billups said, you shot the three pretty well at our workout. I asked him why he didn't do it, and he said, because, Coach Hurley wanted me to do other things to win ball games, and that's what I wanted to do. And I think I called you and I told you one of my favorite parts of the press conference wasn't something like he said. It was something Billups said. And Billups said, we haven't had a defensive presence like this. With this guy, teams are going to be hesitant to attack the paint. And when he said that, you could see this smile just come across Donovan Clingan's face. He just starts nodding his head. Yeah, like, this guy doesn't just talk about defense. You can tell he takes a lot of pride in playing it well.
I mean, Godfather, you and I both know that having defensive-minded guys on your team is a good thing because he's going to play defense. He's going to expect his teammates to play defense. And as he continues to get more comfortable in his role, he'll direct traffic out there, which is great.
Yeah, you can get better on offense. You can learn how to shoot. We've seen a lot of guys improve their shooting. It's pretty hard to get better defensively and improve.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's so much God-given, athletic ability to play defense and that mindset to want to. You got to have the mindset. If you don't want to play it, it doesn't matter what kind of athlete you are. He seems to want to play it.
I like the advice that his mom gave him. Very simple advice. Defense wins ball games, offense sells tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So even his mom is trying to drill into his head, like, you need to focus on defense. It's good.
His father was there. His dad's a big guy. Did you think, Chris? He's a big man.
Yeah, he's still dwarfed by his son, though.
Yeah, height-wise, yes. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty cool to have Clingan in town, and he'll be down at Summer League, and we'll get a chance to watch him play.
He is.
I know that you enjoy covering Summer League. How do you think that experience will go for him as a big man in a game that's at Summer League's designed more for the guards?
Well, the thing is, this is not a big man who wants the ball a lot on offense. Yeah. So it's not going to hurt him like it would some of these guys. he will block shots down there because people are going to be challenging him. That's what you do in summer league. All these guards, hot shot guards who think they can get to the basket. I can't wait till he greets them at the basket. That would be fun.
Burkhart, I appreciate you sending me a screenshot. It's like a split screen. I see the Godfather, and then I see me with my leg lifted up and my pant leg pulled up to show the two-tone skin that I have going on because of the crew socks.
That's so nice.
Ryland's chimed in. Stop showing your leg. I'm offended. And then Mika chimes in. Did you finally bust out the socks they gave you? I did. Yeah, she hooked me up with some low-cut socks, Nike socks, and I started wearing them today, unfortunately.
That's what you were wearing today.
I was.
Did they stay up? They didn't kind of creep
up.
Into your heel there?
No, there was no creeping.
Good.
But
That's good.
Of course, the guys that I play with couldn't help but comment like, dude, what's up with that? I expected that.
Funny how people notice it.
Yeah. There's certain things I wish people wouldn't notice. Like it's like if I have a big zit on my face, you know it's a zit, and I know it's a zit. I don't need you to remind me that I have a zit on my face.
Yeah, it's better just not to mention those things.
Yeah, just let it slide, man.
Cold sores, zits.
Yeah, it's right there where everyone can see it. And look, I know that I've got a two-tone situation going on, but you don't need to comment. I don't need the peanut gallery to chime in on my hideousness.
But, Chad, the interesting part about those, it's such a nice, even line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you wear
like it's
those
been painted
socks
on. Yep.
exactly the same length every day, right?
I do, 100%. Yep.
Oh,
And then after a while, because the tan line was so defined, I knew exactly where to pull the sock up to. I think I started wearing crew socks when I was younger, when I was playing hoop, because I felt like it made my calves look bigger.
Really?
And maybe I had insecurity like Arnold Schwarzenegger with the size of my calves. Because I know Schwarzenegger, he used to do all of his early posing, like standing in water and stuff like that, like on the beach or whatever, and then eventually had calf implants because he was insecure about his calves. Little known secret there about Schwarzenegger.
Huh.
So there you go. All right, we'll come back, and we got a lot of things to get to on the show. We're going to touch on conversation that Dwight had with Chauncey Billups at the press conference on Saturday. Also, we want to get into a conversation about the value of Summer League. Scoot Henderson, he may participate in Summer League. He may not. We don't know yet, but we'll talk about the value of Summer League for someone like Scoot. And then Jason Quick's piece on DeAndre Ayton and his reaction to the Trailblazers drafting Donovan Clingan. That's Dwight. Chris Burkhart's here. I'm Chad Doing. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, Ryland Trainer has chimed in. He said he's sending you and I a couples tanning package.
Yeah, okay. I'll take it.
Tanning used to be big, like back in the early 90s.
I used to do it till I realized how many skin cancers it gave me.
How many times you had spots removed now from your body? More than you can count?
I would say double digits.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. My dad's had a couple of removed, and it's just part of life. But, man, tanning back in the early 90s was like booming.
Nobody ever told you.
When I worked at the health club, it was like every day the tanning beds were just a chaos. 6 of them just constantly churning. Boom, 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 boom.
There was a tanning shop on every street. I mean, they were everywhere. You don't see them much anymore, do you?
It's just funny as humans how we jump into something without really asking questions. Oh, yeah, tan, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, come on. Everybody looks better tan. You got to admit that.
100%.
Yeah.
I did it. Everyone I know did it. I mean, it was a thing back then for sure. All right. Saturday at the press conference, you had a chance to talk to Joe and Chauncey after the press conference. And in your conversation with Chauncey Billups, were you able to glean anything on his situation here with the Trailblazers?
Well, he did confirm for me that the final year of his contract is not guaranteed yet. The Blazers have not done that. And
the 5th year would be next year. He's in year number 4.
Exactly.
That final year of the contract is a team option.
Right. And it's important for me to emphasize to people listening, I'm not saying that means bring him back for the 5th year. And he's not even looking for that at this point. It's like he's been asked to do what he was not hired to do, and that's lose a whole bunch of games because they're tanking. And they're going to ask that of him next season. So most of the time in this league, when you ask favors of that magnitude to a coach in his first coaching job, you go ahead and guarantee the following year, whether you're going to actually bring him back or not. It's not a ton of money, I don't think. And it's time. I think that that's the right thing to do.
Wouldn't it be similar to when you ask a player to shut down for the rest of the year with a
Exactly.
fake injury?
Yeah.
And say, hey, if you do this, we're going to take care of you at the end of the year. Wouldn't it be the same thing for Billups where it's like, look, we know that we've put you in a tough spot. We know that you've taken on countless number of losses onto your record, which is going to stick with you permanently. But if you can hang in there for another year, we're going to pick up the option. You'll get paid out that 5th year. And then on top of that, you'll be free after this year to go and find another place where you want to work.
It's my understanding, Chad, that was done with Nurkic and with Simons when they were asked to kind of have that quote-unquote injury that kept them out the second half of the season with a new contract looming. And they were probably promised a certain dollar figure. I'm speculating on that. I'm not accusing them of anything, but I'm just saying they might have been promised a certain dollar figure, so they do it. Then they're taken care of the next year, and that's a much larger figure contractually than what they would owe Coach Billups.
Yes, and that final year that they would pick up, I think it's worth like $2 million.
Yeah,
chump change in
right.
the NBA.
It's nothing.
And this is not about what you think of Chauncey Billups as a coach.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with that. But the reality of the situation is that he came in under a different general manager with a different team and a different philosophy and mindset in terms of what they were going to accomplish.
He thought he had a playoff team.
Yes, a playoff team with veteran players. But shortly after he got hired, his general manager was let go. Joe Cronin took over. And then the direction of the franchise changed significantly. So I like the fact that he bought in and said, whatever you need, I'm here.
Yeah.
I can do that. He didn't fight it. He embraced the process, and he's continued to be, as you would put it, a good soldier for the franchise through a couple of just absolutely brutal years of knowing he was going to take on a bunch of losses, but it was to improve their draft position.
And he's taken a lot of criticism from fans here, Chad. And both of us sit here and think, is that deserved or not? Well, it's almost impossible to tell now because he just hasn't had the tools to win.
Exactly. So when people ask me, like, what do you think of Chauncey Billups? And my honest answer is I'm really not sure.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the tools to really be in a situation to where you can really judge him, I think, completely as a coach or not. I think he's shown some improvement. I think he had some very good bright spots last year, especially with his work with the young guys. But he just hasn't been in a position since he's taken over the team based on the direction of the franchise to really have success. So pick up the final year option. he's going to be done after this year anyways. He's not coming back for the 5th year. Just pick up the option as a thank you, as a tip to say, hey, we appreciate what you did in a time of need for the franchise so we could improve our draft position and get the assets that we needed to start this rebuild.
Yeah, and Chauncey, I'm sure, is not done with the NBA. And if you guaranteed that final year for him, he's got a year to find his next job, whether that be an assistant coaching job somewhere, whether it's back to doing media again, or even a head coaching job somewhere. I think if he'd have been a free agent this summer, he might have been considered for that Detroit job.
All right, I want to ask you about Summer League. We know that Donovan Clingan is going to be down there.
Yeah.
Scoot Henderson, we don't know the status of Scoot yet
Correct.
when it comes to Summer League play. He may play, he may not.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on the value of Summer League?
Well, I think for first-year players particularly, like Donovan Clingan, it's very important that the coaching staff gets to know you, gets to see you on the floor, and that you get to know them. At the same time, you're getting to know some teammates too, because there'll be some second-year players here who will probably be on the team next year.
Yeah.
So it's a chance. And the NBA officiating, the NBA game, all the rules that are different in the NBA from college. You'll get a chance to get used to that too, the way the game's officiated. No, it's not NBA referees, but it's NBA trainees, guys who are probably going to officiate in the NBA. So there's all those things that are good for the player, and I heartily would recommend it for any first-year player. I think that's where you get your feet wet and start to get accustomed to what the NBA game is about.
I guess my concern with the Summer League when it comes to a second-year guy like Scoot, that game is played differently down at Summer League. You have a lot of guys out there who are trying to make NBA rosters and prove their value, and I think by doing so, they put other people at risk sometimes with their aggressive
Absolutely correct, Chad.
just over-the-top play, which is fine
Absolutely.
because they're trying to do whatever they can to make a roster. What I don't like is guys like Scoot Henderson being put at unnecessary risk
Right.
of injury. And my biggest concern right now is Scoot and Shaden being healthy to start the year. So if the team decides not to send Scoot or Scoot decides that he doesn't really want to participate, whatever the case may be, if that's the case, I wouldn't have a big issue with it for Scoot. Just like San Antonio, don't even consider sending Wemby down there. We know what he can do. We know he's going to be great. I don't think you need to see him down there. But I would agree with you for a guy like Clingan, as a big man adjusting to the NBA game, you might want to get a familiar with the officiating because it's going to be a problem for you to start your career.
Oh, they'll be picking on him big time.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, they don't know you. They don't respect you as a player yet. They don't know you're a great defender. You have to go out there and prove that. And as you pointed out,
especially bigs, Chad.
especially bigs, but as you pointed out, if you prove your worth as a defender, the officials will take notice and they'll start giving you the benefit of the doubt, won't they?
Yeah, they do. All of a sudden, some of those blocks they normally would call a foul, they don't call them anymore. We've seen it with bigs. We've seen it with guards. If you're known, as a guy, Marcus Smart, he's gotten to the point in the NBA where he gets away with murder, grabbing guys, holding guys. Well, he's a great defender. He's all defensive team. Yeah, but he still shouldn't be able to foul,
I would rather operate with that type of reputation and get the benefit of the doubt. In terms of covering the Summer League, everyone I've talked to, that's the place to be, right? Because it's very casual. You get a chance to run into a lot of people and get stuff off the cuff.
Yeah.
That's going on.
The big factor is probably more what's going on off the court than what's on, because everybody in the league is there. There are league meetings in conjunction with Summer League. You'll see GMs, scouts, assistant coaches, head coaches, former head coaches. Every time I go down, I see people I haven't seen in a long time, and you pick up a lot of information because it's one big gossip mill. That's what Summer League is. Everybody's talking about everybody else. It's a lot of fun.
All right. I want to shift focus to this. Jason Quick?
Something like that.
Jason Quick had his piece out in The Athletic covering Clingan and DeAndre Ayton, and based on all reports, and I even saw the social media play on draft night, that DeAndre Ayton has been very open to the idea of the team drafting Donovan Clingan. He didn't ask Cronin why they were drafting a center. He was just like, hey, that's great, man. Let's go get it. So his attitude and approach so far has been very good. But the conversation at the press conference on Saturday, as you know, was all about those two guys, Ayton and Clingan, playing together. Can that work? Do you think that makes sense?
I don't, Chad. I think here's the deal with all that. There are a lot of people in the NBA right now saying, hey, they have to trade Ayton now because they took Clingan. They're invested in Clingan. He was a top pick. You can't really have Ayton there at the same time because you want Clingan to get all the experience that he needs, and they're not going to be trying to win games anyway. So
Yes.
he'll play as many minutes as he can play without fouling out.
So basically, if teams think you have to move a guy, you lose value.
Absolutely, you do. They're going to come along with low rent offers for him because they think you have to move him. And nobody wants that kind of leverage to go to the other teams in a trade. So they're going to present this picture where they can actually play together at times. They're going to say that Ayton is excited about it. Maybe he is, or maybe he's saying that. That's the right thing for him to say, too, because, look, he was here last year. Maybe he wants to come back. If he doesn't want to come back, he's not going to say that. That would be dumb of him to say that because it hurts his chances of being traded. You know, all of a sudden, they have to trade him now because he's demanded it, so you can't get as much for him. So there's really no percentage in telling the truth in that situation. And I think people are saying what's best for the franchise, which is what you want them to do.
All right, so in a basketball sense, like let's just take Minnesota, for example. It works with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert because one guy can step back and is very comfortable shooting threes. That's Cat. He likes to shoot the three ball.
Yeah.
If Ayton and Clingan were to coexist, wouldn't you need on some level one of those guys to be able to step back and knock down threes with regularity?
Yeah, the way the league is played now, most people believe you can have one player on the court who's not a three-point shooter. But when you get more than that, it's problematic. And so it makes it easier for the three-point shooters to be defended. It clogs up the middle a little bit. There's problems with that. And I know we're getting bombarded here on the YouTube comments saying, oh, well, John in Salem is the biggest. He thinks this is a 50-win team if everyone stays healthy. Well, I don't happen to agree with that. And he said anybody that wants to trade Ayton is an idiot. Well, maybe so. And that would include me because I think they will trade Ayton at some point. But I don't think the two can coexist for any great length of time.
Well, the last thing that this team wants to do this upcoming season is win 50 games. That would not take them in the direction they need to continue to acquire the talent necessary for the rebuild.
So what we talked about before the show was it may not work for Ayton and Clingan to coexist. It might be bad. But in this case, bad might be good.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't win games. So I don't know what to tell you there. Yeah, if they can't coexist and they keep trying it and it doesn't work, maybe that's what they want to.
No, I think when you move Ayton, the obvious, well, you're looking for draft picks primarily, right? Young players
That's
and
all
draft
you
picks.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get, look, people are talking about the kid, the shooter, Connect down in L.A. Yeah, if you can get a young kid on a rookie deal, yeah, you go ahead and take that. Yeah, that's a piece for the future. That's okay. You just can't afford to take even a minimum, a veteran minimum contract. You just don't want that kind of stuff. You can't. And you don't want a guy who's going to contribute a lot in his first year because they're looking to lose next year. I can't emphasize that enough. And I'm probably the only guy here saying it in this marketplace. And you say it too, Chad. But you got to lose next year. That's your big chance to grab the brass ring.
Well, not just lose, but they need to be in the bottom three.
Big time lose, right?
Yeah, like be in the bottom three. I think if you don't reach one of those bottom three spots where you have equal opportunity to get access to Cooper Flag, then that was a fail.
Yeah, and Chad, this isn't like previous years where you could say, let's go for it in the first half of the season. But if at the trading deadline, we're not doing anything, then we'll tank the rest of the year. You can't do that this time. Teams are going to be tanking from game one. I mean, you got to commit to the tank. You got to sell out for it because you got to get in the bottom three where you have the best chance. And if you can move anything to get one more pick that might land in the lottery, the more lottery tickets you have, even if it's from 7-Eleven, The more lottery tickets you have, the better chance you have of winning the lottery.
I'm also a big believer that when teams, and this isn't just Portland, but they took Clingan at number 7 in the first round.
Mhm.
So they're invested into him.
Mhm.
It doesn't make sense to take a guy at 7 and then have him riding the pine behind Robert
Right.
Williams and DeAndre Ayton where he doesn't get a chance to play.
Yeah, I think especially a big where there's so much to learn about how the game's officiated. You want the officials to learn him and him to learn the officials. So, and you want Scoot Henderson to play with him to learn how do I get him shots. He has to be at least respectable at the offensive end.
I don't know if he can get it done, but if Cronin could move out Grant, Ayton, and Robert Williams this summer, that would be a big coup. Because in that process, you would remove players from the roster that can help you win. But with those veteran pieces, you would bring back draft picks
Mhm.
and young assets, which is what they need.
I think all along the reason for getting the veteran players was to turn them into draft picks.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. The reason why you re-signed Grant to that deal he got last summer
Right.
was to secure a piece that you could eventually move for those young assets.
Mhm.
Same reason why you bring in a guy like DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
And like you said, and you've made this point, and you may be very right, they did a pretty good job of rehabilitating him with the way he played for an extended stretch in the second half of the season. His value may never be higher than it is now.
Yeah.
So that's where they're at. But you're right. One more year. They're going to have one more year of difficulty to make sure that they secure the best chance to
Mhm.
get Cooper Flagg and the rest of that rich draft class. And then after that, hopefully you've got the pieces to where you can start to come out of that.
Yeah, and look, you mentioned it, but DeAndre Ayton had a very good year last year.
Yeah.
Do you think he wants to lose playing time in favor of a raw rookie that they just took in the draft this year?
Well, no, of course
He didn't
not.
want to split time with a rook.
But he's not going to.
Well, that's
because
what I say. If he comes back,
he's
he's
gonna
either
play.
going to be riding the pines himself or splitting time.
Well, I can guarantee you, with Chauncey Billups as coach, he's going to play the guys that he believes gives him the best chance to win. That's the other issue. You've got a coach that wants to win and a front office that doesn't necessarily want to win games next year. There's a conflict there. So how do you solve the conflict if you're Joe Cronin? You remove veteran pieces from the roster that can help you win.
Yeah, either by saying he's injured or by moving him
Yes.
to another team.
But they can't say he's injured at the beginning of the year. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, they did last year. But
With who?
with Ayton, didn't he start the year after the first game with some sort of? I think he sat out some games at the start of the season.
Well, he had a tweak, but he played
Yeah.
throughout the year.
I know. I'm just saying.
No, but they won't. But what I'm saying is that with Chauncey Billups as coach, like they shut guys down at the end of last year, but you can't start shutting them down until after post All-Star break. So what I'm saying is that if Chauncey Billups has access to vets, what's he going to do?
Probably try to win with him.
Yeah. Isn't that the conflict we've
Pretty
been
hard
talking
to
about?
blame him for that.
No, he'll
but-
want to win.
Yeah.
That's why I don't understand why he's here. Because he's trying to do the opposite of what the front office is trying to do.
Well, when push comes to shove, he'll probably play the players they want him to play.
Well, but there comes a point where if you got Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, and DeAndre Ayton, those three players are the best, and everyone on the team knows it. So you
Yeah.
can't just not start them. I mean, that's the problem. That's the difficulty. That's why it's easier if he can move out some of these veterans, right?
I think it's a must. I would move Thibault too. He's got a market. There's a market for him.
Yeah. All those guys. Really, that's your crew right there. It's
Mhm.
Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, Anthony Simons.
Mhm.
They can't move 5 vets in the summer, can they? That'd be pretty amazing. Can you make that happen during the summertime now that free agency's kicked off?
Well, as soon as Williams gets healthy, you better deal him the next day, right?
I think he's better off being moved sooner rather than later because he's on course to be healthy for camp. I just don't know if you want him to play and risk injury again, which would damage his value. And he's
sure.
got value because he's a darn good basketball player.
Yeah.
All these guys can contribute. Matisse Thybulle's a terrific defender. Anthony Simons is a great scorer. DeAndre Ayton is one of the best centers in the game, even though he's limited like a lot of traditional bigs. I mean, his numbers are great. Yeah, they've got some vets who will have value for some other teams out there in the market. I just don't know if you can move all 5 in one summer. Jeremy Grant's probably the next one out, wouldn't you think? Because there's a lot of
Maybe
teams that could use a
Simons.
guy like him.
I don't know. It depends on what they can get for him.
Well, that's the other thing that was interesting about the draft night presser. Cronin said he was committed to the young guards. Anthony Simons' name, who's the best player on the team, his name didn't come up once.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. Dwight and Chad. Chris Burkhardt is here. Hope you're having a fabulous afternoon. One player re-signed for a very bargain price, but at this stage in his career, he's got it figured out, and he knows where the best place to go is if you're an aging vet. We'll talk about that next. Who would have thought that my ankles that have not seen sunlight in 40 years would be so good for YouTube? I'm telling you, man, you show a little bit of skin and good things will happen.
What would happen if you took your shirt off? Goodness. It would break the internet.
It might, Godfather.
You're living in a van down by the river.
Yes.
Well, maybe the Miami Heat are the place where aging veterans should go and be able to finish out their career. Kevin Love, $8 million, very reasonable deal to return to Miami. And I guess my question for you would be this: how much value does he bring to the locker room? Because I think a lot of times that gets overblown a bit, but how much value does he bring when he doesn't play that much on the floor?
Well, I think the Heat are so concerned with culture, and you've heard about Heat culture for years.
Yeah, it's on their floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tell us about it even when we don't want to hear about it.
I know, but they're proud of it, and they take care of their own. That's a franchise known for that. My late friend Ron Culp was a trainer for the Blazers, went down and was a trainer in Miami for those championships. He retired, and Pat Riley wouldn't let him retire. Pat Riley gave him a card that said Vice President of Stuff and paid him, kept him on the payroll for as long as he lived. It said, go out, give a few speeches for us, make some public appearances. You're well known in town. Just stick around. We like having you around. So he did. And now Udonis Haslem, 20-year career in the NBA, and really he only played for about 6 of those years. He was just there to police that locker room and to help the young players and to guide people into that culture. And now you see Kevin Love. They've had him down there long enough. They know what he stands for. They know, what he is as a player. He knows what he is as a player. He's not going in and saying, you better give me $15 million or I walk. He's made enough money in his career now. It's like, yeah, I'd love to stick with the organization. He's getting 2 years, $8 million, $4 million a year for a guy that's done what he's done. But he understands. He gets it. And you know what? He might work for that organization for years. They could keep him in that locker room forever. And he's not going to play a lot. He'll still get in and hit some corner threes for you, grab a rebound for you, make a free throw. He can still play. I'm not saying he's washed up. I'm just saying that's a veteran who understands where he's wanted and the role he's going to play. I think it's a great exhibition of what franchise ought to be thinking about doing, keeping people like him around to police that locker room and to help the young players.
I did a recent deep dive on Pat Riley a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
I'm just intrigued by him completely. And I think he's reaching Jerry West type status in terms of what he's done in the league between coach and boss and making decisions, putting a team together. He's contributed so much to the game. I admire him a great deal. I think he's awesome. I think Pat Riley is freaking awesome. And he found a home there in Miami where he's just happy and he enjoys being there. And he's still, to this day, giving his best to the franchise. That guy's a genius. Freaking awesome.
He values loyalty probably more than anybody in the league. Spoelstra's had his up and down years. He's had players complain about him, whatever. He's not going anywhere until he wants to go somewhere. He's there for life if he wants to be. That's the way Pat Riley is.
I need a card that says Vice President of Stuff.
Yeah.
And just do whatever I want and get paid for it.
Well, we all want that.
But that's loyal right there, saying, hey,
Yeah.
Ron, I appreciate everything you've given to the franchise, and I'm going to prove it by giving this to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking great.
Yeah.
Pat Riley's great. I would do anything for him. I can see why players, whether it's as a coach, you talk to his players, the guys that play for him, they all love him, and they would have run through a brick wall for him. And then look at his job and what he's done running the Miami Heat.
They operate a little differently than other people do. He knows free agents. Whenever something happens, they know who to call to bring in for an injured player. They've had great luck with people who haven't even been drafted. Guy shows up in a Miami uniform, he plays well. It's kind of unbelievable the contributions they've had over the years from heretofore unknown players.
He got a lot of guys. Jason Williams, White Chocolate, who was a little bit crazy. And I love Jay Will. He's awesome. Pat Riley was able to get the most out of him during his time there. Gary Payton had a successful run. He got Shaq back on track and was able to win a championship. The work with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler had issues to a degree elsewhere, Minnesota, Chicago, but there in Miami, he's found a home and he's embraced the Heat culture. Like pretty much everyone they work with, it usually comes out gold. That's just Pat Riley. He's got the Midas touch, man. And he groomed and developed Spoelstra into the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah. Terry Porter told me in his brief time in Miami, he had a notebook. He just took notes all the time. He knew he might coach someday, and he said, man, I was taking notes all the time of what they were doing down there because they were doing things the right way.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
When you're around someone like that, I don't need to talk or ask dumb questions. Just let me observe and watch. And Pat Riley still looks like $1 million too, with his hair slicked back.
He does.
I like that, man. Using my grandpa's Vitalis, little hair oil, and just slick it straight back and look cool.
He has a certain dignity about him that's amazing. Last time I saw him was at Summer League with Spoelstra, and you look over there and say, "Who's that guy with a beard?" Because he had a beard then.
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh my, that's Pat Riley."
I saw
It's like,
pictures of him when he
wow.
was younger, when he's older, when he's graying. That's a handsome man right there.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a good-looking dude. He's been married to the same lady for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm down with Pat Riley. I hate to admit that, but I am. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. We'll come back, and we'll take a look at multiple teams who have been busy. The Philadelphia 76ers, they've signed like a gajillion players since free agency kicked off. Are the LA Lakers screwed? Oklahoma City, they might be tough next year. And then San Antonio got Chris Paul. Well, does that make sense for Coach Pop? We'll get to that next on the Rip City Drive. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 4 o'clock in the NBA. The Trailblazers have signed Justin Minaya to a two-way deal. Elsewhere, Woj is reporting that Klay Thompson on his way to Dallas. New 3-year deal worth $50 million. The Splash Brothers are no more. That move is part of a 3-team deal involving Golden State, Dallas, and Charlotte. Compensation is still being worked out. The Celtics have extended Derek White on a deal worth $126 million. The ownership group led by Wick Grusbeck has put the Celtics up for sale 2 weeks after winning the championship. The Mariners, ice cold. They've dropped back-to-back games. They're just 3-8 in their last 11, and now have their lead in the AL West down to 3.5 games. They'll open up a set against the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow at T-Mobile Park. That first pitch is at 6:40. More of the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad coming at you right now. Alex Brink will join us in studio on Wednesday. We have a pair of tickets for Hairfest to give away coming up at 5. What do you see? The cult of personality. Man, this song sounds as good today as it did many years ago when it came out. This is a great tune. Nice work, Burkhart.
He's just playing it because it's CM Punk's theme song, right, Chris?
I liked this long before it was CM Punk's song, but yes, also yes.
Okay.
Oh, also, we're going to celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day coming up at 5 o'clock.
Yes.
I need that type of retirement plan that he's got.
Yeah,
What a
don't we
day.
all?
What a day. July 1st of every year, Bobby Bonilla is a very happy man.
I got to get his agent to come in here and negotiate for me.
It's freaking awesome. I've thought for a long time now that some of the best gigs are to be a fired college football coach. That tends to work out pretty well
That's
for
good.
you.
Yeah.
But I love these athletes that are getting paid out by multiple teams all at the same time. Like, that's amazing. When teams get the buyout, then you move on to another team, they buy you out, and then before you know it, you're getting paid out by like 4 teams.
Ken Griffey is still getting money from the Mariners.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Good
I
for
think
Ken
this
Griffey
is
Jr.
last year. I think he's getting a couple million, though.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
Yeah.
Also, Burkhart reminded me, we're no longer paying Andrew Nicholson money. Is that correct?
Oh, is that Andrew Nicholson? He's off the books?
Yeah.
Yep, he's off the books now.
Thank God.
They gave him his last payment. He gone.
I want to be a stretch player, too, in the NBA. They get paid out for an extended period of time. Here, we're going to waive you and stretch you. And then, boom, next thing you know, you got 5 years at about 1.5 coming in. It's all good. Mailbox money, baby.
That's an incredible job, isn't it?
It's a great gig. Wait a second. You're going to pay me out, but you're going to do it in increments over the next 5 or 6 years? Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, we could do that. The stretch and waive provision. I need that. I can definitely get waived. I just need someone to stretch out my contract over a period of time.
We're all on the verge of being waived at any point.
Oh, gosh. Every day I wake up, it's like I could be headed right for the guillotine.
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing that they use to chop your dome off with?
On
That's
the
me.
way to work every day, you say, I get one more day.
Someone asked me today, how long have you been doing radio? And I'm like, much longer than I should have. I'm getting over.
Takes a long time to catch on.
I just don't want anyone to know I'm getting over for a long time.
Yep. Yep.
Yeehaw. All right.
You and me have been fooling people a long time, haven't we?
No, dude, I'm a straight bum. I am a straight bum. At least you did legitimate work for a newspaper. I've been talking out of my backside for a long time. And I know one day it's all going to run out. The gravy train's going to run up dry, and I'm good with it, man. I got nothing to complain about.
Someday somebody sitting in that corner office is going to say, Chad doing? He's garbage. The guy's garbage.
Absolute
He's
garbage.
garbage.
I am, dude. I'm a clown show. Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of these NBA teams that have been busy. I want your take on the Philadelphia 76ers. They landed the sweepstakes and got Paul George.
Yeah.
They re-signed Tyrese Maxey. So it would appear now with the star power with the MVP and Paul George, they've got something to cook with. And I like Tyrese Maxey. And they've got a good coach.
Yeah. That's the best thing they have going with that group to kind of figure out how that works. Because I think, Chad, Paul George could take some heat off Embiid, who won't feel the need to have to score as much as he
Yeah,
has.
game in and game out.
Yeah, I mean, he's really been their offense, and it won't have to be that way as much because George can score at least until we get to the playoffs. That's why I'm not so sure about playoff P. It hasn't gone so well for him in the playoffs, and we've seen that here, right here in front of our eyes. But I think they'll be a better team, no question. I still don't see them being better than the Celtics, however.
Are they better than the Knicks?
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting because I'm still not sure what the Knicks are going to show up with. I mean, certainly right now, they have to replace Hartenstein with some sort of a force in the middle because they got to beat Embiid, and so right now, the Sixers are better. I just have a feeling with the draft picks, future draft picks, and the cap space the Knicks have, they'll end up with something pretty good.
Well, with the Jason Tatum extension, the Celtics better be good next year. They're spending like $1 billion on contracts. It's amazing how much money they're paying out. That's not going to last forever.
No.
So if you're going to win a title, you better do it now because they can't afford to pay the type of taxes that they're going to be faced with in the near future.
Yeah. And the penalties, not only with the money you have to pay, but there's all sorts of restrictive things that when you're in that
For
second
improvement.
April, you can't do a lot of things.
I guess my big question with Paul George would just be availability.
Yeah. That's a real valid with him and Embiid, really. Embiid had a great year last year where he was available most of the season. But then we get in the playoffs and he's dragging one leg behind him for most of the playoffs.
Do you like his game, Paul George?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I do, Chad. I like the fact that he's a pretty reliable three-point shooter. He can pass if asked to do that. And I think he's a physical player. He used to be a pretty good defender. I'm not sure that he's kept that ability at this point of his career, but for a long time, he was a very good two-way player.
All right, so they get Paul George. They drafted Jared McCain out of Duke. They also re-signed Tyrese Maxey 5 years, $204 million. And they're bringing in Kelly Oubre on a 2-year deal worth $16.3 million. They're going to lose Nick Batum, who I think is going back to L.A. So
Good for Nick.
what do you think about Philly, Burkhart? Do you think that they're on level or on par with the Knicks now? Do they have enough to challenge the Celtics? Or how do you see them in that mix now in the Eastern Conference adding Paul George?
Well, I think adding Paul George it's good for him, but can they stay healthy enough, him and Embiid, to be on the court at the same time that often? I mean, they did lose a big in Tobias Harris, too, which I think, that takes a little bit of a hit. He didn't come up huge for him in the playoffs, but he is a good player. But, you get Maxey, George, and Embiid. That's a pretty good big three. However, if Mikal Bridges gets into that lineup in New York and that thing is smooth and you get a lineup of Brunson and Hart and Bridges and Anunoby and a healthy Julius Randle, that's a team in New York right now too. So can they make a little noise? Yeah, but this might still be the Celtics conference.
How did the Clippers allow Paul George to leave? How does that happen?
I don't know, Chad, but that's a mistake, I think. He needed to stay, and Lawrence Frank is going to get run out of that job at some point. I'm surprised that Ballmer's had that kind of patience with
How red
anybody.
do you think Ballmer's face is right now?
Oh, gosh. He doesn't appear to be a patient man, does he? He's very kind of crazy, and I don't know.
No, his face is always red. He's crazy. I guess what's crazy to me is that they gave Kawhi Leonard that extension. I just don't understand why you would give Kawhi that type of Jake unless you knew for sure that you were going to get Paul George back. I just assumed that once they gave the extension to Kawhi, that was signals that Paul George, they had already agreed to something off the record that he was going to be back.
But, Chad, would you anyway, without all that, would you have given Kawhi Leonard that kind of money, that extension? I just don't think he plays enough to merit that. That's too big a gamble.
The problem is that somebody else would. There's someone in the NBA that would give him big money. So if you don't do it, you're going to lose him completely. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just don't think you can win a championship with him now because he's not going to play enough to be out there when it matters most.
Yeah.
That's the issue. And now it's not going to matter because they don't have Paul George. They don't have enough. And James Harden got 2 years and 70. $35 million a year for James Harden. Now I give him credit. He embraced his role last year and played really good basketball for the Clippers, which was impressive. Now you said that part of the reason why Paul George might be in Philly is because he didn't want to play with James Harden.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. Yes. They're saying that as soon as Harden showed up, that's when his discontent with the offense began. Before that, there wasn't any word about complaining about the offense at all. But once Harden started dominating the ball, and you know how he is, he's a good point guard. He gets the ball to people, but he does dribble the heck out of the basketball before he does that. And I think it drives some players crazy because they want that move, pass, move, react kind of offense.
All right, so they lose Paul George. Nick Batum signed a 2-year, $9.6 million deal with the Clippers. So he's going back to L.A. I guess his wife loves being in L.A., so he'll be back in L.A. They've got James Harden. They've got Kawhi Leonard. I mean, they'll be fine, but they don't have enough to win a championship. They don't have enough to compete for a title, right?
Right. Not even close.
They're the Clippers.
Yeah, but they're not even close this year. This is a team right now with what they have. You got to wonder, Kawhi isn't playing. What do they got left? How good can they be?
They weren't close last year with George and Kawhi.
I know. Huh. So now you're talking about a team that, boy.
Okay.
I don't even know if are they a playoff team?
Yeah, they're a playoff team, probably.
The West.
No, the other question I have for you is, you're always, and to the point where it's almost nauseating, but you're always talking about how great Denver is with their organization and all this.
Yeah.
But why are they considering Russell Westbrook if that's the case? What does he bring to that team?
I don't get it.
What's
I
up
don't
with
understand it. I wouldn't want him.
You think Mike Malone's going to like having Russ on the team?
Well, that's a potential nervous breakdown for Michael Malone. He'll drive Malone crazy, won't he?
Well, Malone might drive him crazy. I don't know.
Well, that would be fair.
But I'm just saying, what do they see in Westbrook that they think he could bring to the team? Okay, let me just put it this way. If Westbrook's willing to embrace his bench role like he was last year with the Clippers, and credit to Westbrook, he embraced a role that I didn't think he could embrace. If he embraces his bench role, could he bring some value to the Nuggets?
Yeah, he could if he's playing off the bench. I also see where sometimes people have thought move Murray to the shooting guard because he's not really a legit point guard, and then just play Russell as a starter and tell him, don't shoot.
Oh,
get the ball to our –
That's not going to work.
With their movement – see, I don't even know if you can get him to play that offense where he's in motion all the time because he's another guy. He's a ball-dominant point guard. He likes to have the ball. That doesn't work with what they do, I don't think. Well, I don't know what they're doing in Denver. They let Brown go last year. Now they let Caldwell Pope go to Orlando.
And he was critical for them this year.
Yes. Outstanding defender, made a three once in a while, fit in great, did what they wanted him to do, and did you just let him walk?
Well, this is the problem when you're paying huge money to three guys. Yeah. This is what happens. Mm-hmm. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, and Jokic. When you're paying three guys that type of scratch, you have to start cutting at the edges, and that's what happens. You lose guys like Caldwell Pope, who's incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
I wonder if they regret giving Michael Porter Jr. that type of big contract now.
Probably. Yeah.
But losing Caldwell Pope is going to hurt them.
Yeah. There's no do-overs, though.
No.
Well, you take that back.
I wish
Give me a mulligan on that trade.
Hey, if NBA contracts were like the golf course, guys would be handing all kinds of crap out. Oh, we're good here. No, you can have that back.
Oh, that's good.
Breakfast ball. I had one guy today, first on contact, before he even had a chance to watch the full flight, he already had another ball teed up. I was like, oh, breakfast ball. We need that in the NBA. Think about how many contracts you wish you could have a do-over on.
Oh, man. That's why everything should be a one-year deal. That would really be fun. One-year contract.
Oh, all the players would play their asses off. You get, like, prime play from all the guys every year because they want to make sure they're going to get paid.
Yeah, and it would kind of get like college sports where they all enter the portal after the first year, and you'd have a different team the following year.
We have like we have a lot of middling dudes in the league now making ridiculous scratch.
Yes.
Props to them. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. I would like to see Russ. I'm all here for it. If they want to sign Russ, I want to see him and Michael Malone coexist.
Oh, man, what a conflict.
All right, you can reach out. You'll find Dwight on social media at Dwight James. You'll find me there at Chad in Rip City. When we come back, we'll dive into the Jeremy Grant situation, the rumors. Like, if they make a deal with L.A., like, what should they be looking to get back in return? We'll deal with that next here on the Rip City Drive. Hey, Godfather, I don't know if it's true or not, but that report you saw online about Klay Thompson not even picking up the phone to LeBron's call,
Yeah.
I could see Klay Thompson doing that, not wanting to give LeBron the satisfaction of picking up his call.
Yeah.
If Klay Thompson did, in fact, ignore LeBron's call, then he just went up several notches in my book.
Yeah. You know, I think he sees LeBron as I don't think he'd be too fond of him. He's been on the other side of the court a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I could see that. And purportedly, I saw a thing that the Lakers were willing to offer. I think they said, what, $50 million over 3, I think they were going to offer. But again, I think he's probably fed up with the tax situation in California to go to Texas and play there where, you know, no state tax in Texas, I believe.
Well, that absolutely played into his decision making. I live there, and it's not just the federal tax you have to pay as a high earner, but 13.3%.
State tax.
Yeah, it's awful. And then
Yeah.
you drive around, you're like, wait a second, where are my tax dollars going? Obviously not to fix the roads. It's a mess down there. So Klay Thompson making big money, but will get a nice little extra bump without the state taxes, which is a big deal. I'm just enjoying watching the Lakers once again flounder when it comes to trying to secure a big piece to put next to LeBron and AD.
Yeah, I think they thought it was going to be easier than this. But once again, it points out what both of us been saying, that Laker brand isn't what it used to be. They're still the Lakers, premier franchise, all that. But they're not just getting what they want all the time. Could you imagine 10, 15 years ago, if the Lakers wanted you, where do I sign? I'll go. I'll take less money to go be a Laker. It was a big deal. It's not so much the case anymore. That brand has been tarnished a little bit.
Yeah, and they're not a legitimate contender.
No, haven't been.
I mean, if you're Paul George, you go to Philly, one, because, you know, they want you, two, you're going to get paid, but also, you know, you got a chance to compete.
I think it's a lot of guys saying that the in-season tournament's not that big a deal. Winning that thing is probably not that cool.
He popped champagne for that, Godfather.
Yeah, I know. It's not just, we're still waiting to see if they raise the banner.
They can't do that. The NBA may try to force them to do that, but you can't do that.
No, you can't.
It's a clown show. It's like, come on, man. What are you guys trying to do? I think my favorite thing that I saw pop up over the weekend was Rich Paul saying that Bronny James would have been drafted into the NBA even if his name were John Smith.
No.
I got a good giggle out of that one because the same stuff that comes out from LeBron's camp all the time, they must think we're total dum-dums. And for the most part, the general public might be total dum-dums, but look, just be real. This is part of the thing that drives me crazy. It's like, just be honest in what you're trying to communicate instead of trying to push a narrative all the time. Like this whole idea that LeBron and J.J. Redick never talked about the Lakers job. That's total nonsense.
Oh, I get it. I get jokes.
I think actually Rich Paul's not a dum-dum. And my guess is he was told to say that. That came from the old man.
No, he was doing LeBron's bidding, of
Yeah,
course.
Yeah.
No, Rich Paul's not a fool. He knows where
He has to know that
his
people
bread
aren't-
is buttered.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do what LeBron wants.
Yeah.
And it's worked out really well for him. So just keep doing what he wants. He'll take care of you. I don't blame Rich Paul for putting out the nonsense. But when I read that, I'm like, come on, man. He wouldn't have been drafted
No.
if his name was John Smith and wasn't related to LeBron.
Chad, he'd be back in college because everybody who knows anything that advises college kids would say, you're not going to get drafted. Go back in for another year and see what happens. And he'd have gone back in and he would have transferred some other school and tried it another year, which is probably what he should have done anyway. But since he's LeBron's kid, he gets drafted and, you know, everybody knows what happens. It's
Hey.
not a secret.
No, and it is what it is. Well, depending on who your dad is,
Mhm.
you get access to certain things. My dad had access to certain things, and I took advantage of it. I mean, that's what dads do, you know? So I understand why LeBron did what he did, because he had the power to do it. Not everyone's got that type of power, but LeBron did and wanted to make sure he played with his son. And I'm okay with that as long as Bronny is okay with that. That's who I'm primarily concerned about.
Yeah.
And we'll never know because Bronny's not going to out his dad publicly. on whether or not he was forced into that type of situation. He's never
Maybe
gonna do it.
someday when his father has passed on and he's writing his autobiography, maybe
Yeah.
it'll come out then.
It's possible. Now, in regards to the Lakers, they miss out on Klay Thompson, which is pretty funny. He's going to be in Dallas with the Mavericks. I'm not really sure what Klay Thompson has left to offer based
not
on the
either.
injuries.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think he might be washed,
Mhm.
actually. He's
Yeah.
coming off the worst year of his career. And I'm not saying that because I dislike Klay. I like him, and I like his family, and I like his dad. And he was a darn good basketball player, but you can see the impact of those leg injuries and how it's kind of sucked the life out of him, unfortunately, because he was one of the best two-way players in the game for an extended period of time.
He's a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
And when he got hotter than a pistol, he could really stroke it, man. He was awesome. Now, if you look at the latest reports, and this is just before the deal went down with Dallas, with Klay Thompson now being a Maverick, it was Anthony Irwin who covers the Lakers. He says, I'm told the Lakers and the Trailblazers have been in consistent talks on a deal for Jeremy Grant. I wouldn't call it particularly imminent, but the sides have definitely been active most of today. He also went on to say that the Lakers are just stuck with waiting right now. They don't want to move both their first-round picks for Jeremy Grant, and they're waiting on Klay Thompson before they move on to other options. Grant, of course, is scheduled to make $29.8 million this upcoming season. He averaged 21 points, 2 assists in 33 minutes per game, and shot 45% from the field and 40% from downtown. He had a very good year, productive.
Mhm.
The last 2 years for Grant, he shot the three ball at a high percentage.
Yes, he did. He would be good for them.
Yeah, so the question is, if you move Jeremy Grant to the Lakers, and again, I've never seen a deal done between the Lakers and Blazers. Is it based on need? Is it likely that those two teams could come together? Does it matter that if you're Joe Cronin, does it matter if you're doing a deal for the Lakers to send him a guy like Jeremy Grant based on how people in town feel about the Lakers? Does
No,
that-
it shouldn't. That shouldn't matter. I think the reason for not doing a deal before is many, many times
competing with one another.
exactly, Chad. In this team's history, the Lakers have been the roadblock. That's the team you're always trying to beat until recently. So you didn't want to do a deal with the team you're trying to beat. Now it's different. Now you if you can get back what you need, you do the deal. And I've said this now for a while. They're not in a position to worry about what they're doing for the other team. They have to worry about their own team and what this deal does for their team. And if they can get that draft pick from next year that could well end up being a lottery pick from the Lakers, man, I think you got to take that. The heck with them. If it helps them, so what? By the time you're good here, they're not going to be good. They're going to be in the LeBron wasteland. We've seen that before. When he leaves town, it's very often torched.
Well, the Lakers may need to get a third team involved. But if the Blazers can move Grant and get a couple of picks in return, that wouldn't be so bad.
Picks and a trade exception would be good. I think that's all you need. You don't want one of their lousy players. Just get the picks and move on.
Well, especially if they're wanting to send you back some type of middle-of-the-road player with excessive years on his contract.
Yeah,
They
like
don't
I
need
say, I
that.
would take Connect. That would be a guy, a nice rookie who could shoot, but I don't think they're going to give him up.
They probably don't want to give up Connect, and they probably don't want to give up Austin Reeves. They
Right.
probably want to keep both those guys.
Yes.
And the picks, they probably don't want to give up both first-round picks, but you might be able to squeeze them now that they're running out of options.
Yes, exactly. Where else are they going to go right now? What
I think
else
the
is
other
out there?
player that they're looking at would be a couple of guys I saw on a list. Buddy Hield is a potential option.
Yeah. How did that work out last year for Buddy? He couldn't even get off the bench.
So, DeMar DeRozan,
Yeah, that's a possibility. Makes a lot of money, though.
I mean, he makes a lot of money. There are a lot of guys in the league making a lot of money.
Well, that's true. Everybody
Jeremy
does.
Grant's making a lot of money.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan, he's a good player. Yeah, what I like about DeMar is that he's very unassuming. He just quietly goes out there and gets you points every night. He's productive.
Yeah, the thing about him is he's not a three-point shooter. He's a mid-range guy. Really good mid-range guy. Good free throw shooter, all that.
Don't you think Grant would fit pretty well with the Lakers' current setup?
I would like Grant with them for sure. Yeah.
Now, of course, keep in mind, I've been told for the last couple of years that Grant is not a small forward. So he's going to have to tell LeBron, like, look, bro, I only play power forward, so you have to slide over to the 3.
You know what he is? He's a forward.
He's
That's
a forward.
what he is. He's
Yeah.
a forward.
He would work well there. He
Yeah.
can defend a little bit.
Mhm.
Not a great defender, but decent. But most importantly, he can shoot the 3 ball.
Yeah, he can spread the floor for him. That's what they're looking for. He won't rebound much, but he does all the other things. He can pass.
He's been a good player for the Blazers.
Yeah, yes.
You like Jeremy Grant?
He's a good player.
Yeah. And Jeremy Grant's one of those guys, too, where if you can move him now, it would be helpful because Chauncey Billups likes Jeremy Grant. And he's going to want to play him big minutes. And Jeremy Grant's going to go out there and score and put the team in a position to win games, which isn't necessarily the best idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to be beating that drum, all the way to next season. That's just the way it is.
I was talking to my buddy Jason Peterson. He thought about this idea here. Send Jeremy Grant to the Lakers, get Brooklyn involved. Brooklyn gets Hachimura, Vanderbilt, and Thibault. The Blazers get Ben Simmons, future first-round pick from L.A., and a future first from the Nets because the Nets have a ton of first-round picks. And then what you get with Portland, you get a look at Simmons for a year. If he has a bounce-back season, you could look at re-signing him. If not, $40 million comes off the books, and then you got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I'm not big on Ben Simmons. He's never healthy, and nobody seems to think he wants to play, really. He'd rather sit down and just take his checks to the bank.
Yes, but if it doesn't work out, he's an expiring deal. He comes off the books, and you get 2 first-rounders.
Yeah.
You'd be open to that?
Yeah, anything that brings more first-rounders, I'm fine with. That's what you have to do to get a first-rounder. He's not going to help him win this year, that's for sure.
Hey, Burkhart, what do you want in return from the Lakers in order to ship them Jeremy Grant and give them a solid piece to put next to AD and LeBron?
Yeah, it's got to be some mix of picks and maybe getting another team involved to help facilitate. There's just not a lot that the Lakers have that I want, right? Like, it's easy. I'd say Rui Hachimura, but I don't know if they're going to get rid of him, but there's just not a lot the Lakers want. If the Lakers had a ton that everyone wanted, they wouldn't have been an absolutely terrible team last year.
The lowest contracts in the NBA among players who average at least 18 points per game and shot 40% from downtown. D'Angelo Russell, $18 million. Jalen Brunson, 26. Jeremy Grant, 30. C.J. McCollum, 34. And Jamal Murray, 36. It's not bad. What's your guess here, Godfather? Do you think Grant gets moved here in the next few days?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Yeah, I'd say yeah, I do. Yeah. I think they're trying to move all those vets that we've talked about. It's just a matter of which domino falls first. But I almost sense that there's something cooking for Simons, and I've thought that for a while now because he's just become persona non grata with, you just don't hear the Blazers. His name's not coming up. Nothing really is ever said about it.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So, the draft night press conference that Joe Cronin had, Anthony Simons is arguably the best player on the team, and his name did not come up once.
Yeah.
But Cronin did say that the team is committed to their young guards, meaning Sharp and Scoot.
Yeah.
Isn't that odd?
Very. Yeah. If you're committed to those 2 guys, what is Simons doing here? Really, if you're not committed to him.
My only argument for keeping Ant around for another year before you move him would be because you don't really know what you got in the 2 guards. But on the flip side, how can you know what you've got with the 2 guards if Anthony Simons is starting and taking up minutes? And one thing I'm certain of, no matter what anyone says, I don't believe you can play Scoot and Ant together. I just don't think it works because they're both point guards and they need the ball in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see how keeping Ant here for another season to clog up the backcourt minutes between Sharp and Scoot. Wouldn't it be better for this franchise as you're trying to develop players to have Scoot and Sharp starting in the backcourt game in and game out?
Well,
and just pray to God they can stay healthy?
Yeah, and it's the only way you're really going to find out if that's worth committing to. You've got to see it. And they just haven't seen it yet. And it's time. It's time to see that. And I've said this before, Chad. It's not – quit worrying about what a guy is going to turn into when you trade him. That's immaterial. Worry about this team. Get this team fixed. Whatever you have to do with that, trade him away. If he turns into Jermaine O'Neal, fine. Good for him. But this is the concern right here. And when you have a chance to move him and get what you need back, you better move him.
Yeah, I just don't see how Ant being on the team helps with what they're trying to accomplish. If you're truly committed to the two young guards.
Yeah.
And he said he was.
Yes. I'm not saying it. You're not saying it. He said it. So if you're committed, what does that mean then? I think it means they're going to start and they're going to play minutes. And I mean, generous minutes.
Well, then that means Ant can't be here because if Ant's here, he's got to start.
He's got to play. Yeah, he's certainly got to play, let alone start. He should start.
Because you can't go to Ant and be like, hey, bro, we love you, but.
Yeah, but.
Can you come
We're
off
going to
the bench?
take another season away from you. They have taken half seasons
Yeah.
away from him already.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah. Those guys need to play.
Mm-hmm.
You made your choice. You just got to move Ant. And I am convinced that Ant, look, I love Ant, man. The guy, you and I both love him.
Mm-hmm.
Great player.
Yeah.
Great guy. But the player that he is right now, I don't know how much higher that level is for Ant.
Yeah, and we won't know until he goes somewhere else, probably. I think he could be an all-star. He certainly shoots the ball like an all-star.
The scary part is that you could ask me what Scooter Shaden is. I have no idea.
No idea. No. How could you know?
I'm not even sure the coaches know. Do they know what those two guys are? They think they might know what they are, but they're not really sure what they are.
Yeah, there's a percentage of that that's a guess. It's guesswork, really. You just haven't seen him enough. Yeah, I mean, Sharp is athletic as hell. I mean, he can do a lot of things. But that doesn't always mean you're going to turn into a great basketball player.
Man, Jeremy Grant would get a lot of open looks from downtown playing with AD and LeBron.
Yeah, he would.
Get open looks. And if he's shooting the three ball at 40%, playing with those guys, that's going to fit nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And he can play big minutes. Grant can go big minutes, too.
Oh, yeah, he can play.
All right. We'll keep an eye on that situation with Jeremy Grant and the Lakers. The bottom line is the Lakers are striking out right and left. They wanted Clay, couldn't get Clay.
And that's actually pretty funny, right?
They wanted Valanciunas, they couldn't get Valanciunas. I do
pretty
think it's
funny.
funny. I like LeBron striking out usually means a happy day for the Chad. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And if Klay Thompson denied his phone call, pushed him to voicemail, that's even better.
That is pretty cool. Sorry.
Do you think that there are guys in the league who don't really care for LeBron's act, but they'll never say it publicly?
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a lot of resentment. Don't you think? I mean, come on. But nobody has the nerve to say anything bad about him, really, until they retire. Then you hear some stuff. But
No, you don't want to say anything because you don't want to get on the bad side of LeBron and Rich Paul and Clutch.
yeah. Yeah. The smartest thing he ever did was set up that agency. Put Rich Paul in there.
It was genius.
Set up your own agency, which the league should have never really allowed. It's a conflict of interest.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here. I like conflicts of interest, Godfather. That usually means good sports talk.
Peter Vesey used to say, I've never met a conflict of interest I didn't like.
Yep. I'm totally down. Give me more conflict and more interest, please. All right, the Celtics are up for sale. What does that mean about the NBA? And is this good timing for Boston? I feel like Gruspek's getting ready to get paid. That's what I feel like.
Big
Godfather.
time.
All right, Godfather, we just got word. The Mavericks, and this is according to Shams, the Dallas Mavericks are sending 2 second-round picks to the Warriors to complete that sign and trade. So Klay Thompson will play for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to picture what that might look like. Because you got Kyrie there and you got Luka there. And Thompson fits for one reason, and that is he doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be up to Jason Kidd to develop an offense where he can get Thompson in motion more and create shots, catch and shoot opportunities for Thompson, because that's what he does best. So they're going to have to do that and then look for him when he's open, or he's going to be one frustrated guy, because he's playing with 2 guys who like to shoot the ball a little bit.
All right. The Celtics, it's just been announced, are putting the team up for sale.
Yeah.
And it's 2 weeks after the championship. So what's your take on this? What are they trying to accomplish here?
Trying to make a whole bunch of money. That was an investment group put together by Wick Grossbeck and his brother and another family. I think the Epsteins were involved in that, not that Epstein, but several people. And I think they bought the team for somewhere shy of $1 billion. They'll probably make, I would think, at least $5 billion.
Or more.
Yeah, very possibly more, because I think it's going to be a bidding war. You're talking about a championship team in probably the best sports town in the country, or close to it. There's a lot of speculation on who might get it, but they're going to inherit some bills too, because this is a perfect time to sell when you have just won a championship. You've just given out huge contract extensions. They're going to be over the second apron. The tax penalties they're going to be paying are enormous. So it's very likely that new owner will come in and have to cut payroll down and do what we're seeing other teams are doing right now, and that is shed salary on this roster, which would make the new owner instantly a villain in town, probably.
I think it's great. You sell the team, make billions, and then leave the new owner to deal with the complex salary cap issues. Because, by the way, Drew Holiday's making big money. Jaylen Brown's making a boatload of money. And we just gave a boatload of money to Jason Tatum. And, oh, by the way, Derek White just got extended for 126.
Yeah.
Good luck, though. And have fun.
Yeah.
And remember Celtic pride.
This is American business, though. Buy low, sell high. This is what you do.
Do you think this is a sign of, owners looking to get out? There's been a number of sales lately. Is that a sign that the NBA business, with the ratings and everything, maybe not being what it once was, people are looking to get out? Is that possible?
I think it's one of those intense businesses with a lot of public scrutiny, and a lot of owners don't realize that part of it when they buy. And so this is also a time where I think team values right now, Chad, in the next year are probably going to be as high as they'll ever be. It's hard for me to imagine the value staying that high when, in fact, ratings are going down. There's other things to watch on TV now. You're seeing things like women's basketball, soccer. They're going to be putting a lot of, rugby, and cricket's even coming on the air, for crying out loud.
Cricket.
Yeah. It's going to be harder to keep the value as high as it is. So I think it's opportunistic business guys getting involved who are, it just makes sense to sell now.
If you were to buy an NBA team, which one would you want? And I know you and I are not into ownership of teams because we'd rather have the money and go
play with it.
Play golf in all the beautiful places around the world. But what NBA franchise would you want? Celtics might not be a bad place to start because of the rich history and tradition.
That'd be a good one.
Loyal fan base.
I think, honestly, Miami wouldn't be bad, because I would love to go down there and watch my team play.
Yeah, hang out in Miami.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think with teams like the Celtics are one. They've got a great national following.
Yeah.
Celtics fans are everywhere.
So you're trying to get me to say Lakers?
No, Lakers would be one. I think the Knicks fans are everywhere. New York fans are strong.
Yeah.
And the Knicks, well, until recently, they could use a different owner anyways because of, JD and the straight shot and Dum Dum out there playing with his band instead of focusing on the basketball team. Yeah, the Celtics, It's pretty strong, but 5 to 6 billion. Man, I can't believe what Paul Allen paid for the Blazers. What, 80 million? And now that's going to sell.
87, I think,
Yeah.
something like that.
And now it's going to sell for billions.
Yeah.
Not a bad investment. If
Man.
I would have known that back then, I would have bought the Blazers. Get me in on some of that action.
I'm sure you could have gotten a loan that would have covered it.
Oh, yeah. I just need about 87 mil. Is that good?
You know, the world's full of guys, though, who don't have the money, who put that syndicate together and get a piece of it. I mean, that's what Harry Glickman did. He didn't buy the Blazers. He found guys who had the money, put them all together, and became the operating partner. You know, there is a possibility. David Kahn has done that. That's what he did in France to own that team in Paris. Found some guys who had some money and got them together in a little group. And
That's
they
all it
have
takes.
fun.
You just got to find some guys.
Yeah. You got a lot of rich guys who are fans of yours. Put
No.
those guys together.
We've already established that I am a
Fanless?
loser.
Fanless.
I'm fanless, too. After one look at the ankles, that guaranteed no more fans for me.
Oh, man. They turned out in droves on YouTube to see him, I'll tell you that.
All right, Rip City Drive. Chris Burkhart's here. Dwight James, Chad Doing. When we come back, we're going to celebrate one of the greatest days in sports history, Bobby Bonilla Day.
Yes.
All right, 5 o'clock, Chad here. The deal is official. Tatum has agreed to a 5-year, $314 million extension with the Celtics. Elsewhere, we have, according to Woj, Klay Thompson is going to Dallas on a 3-year deal worth $50 million. The move is part of a 3-team deal involving Golden State, Dallas, and Charlotte. The Mavericks are shipping out 2 second-round picks to the Warriors to complete the deal. The Celtics have also extended Derek White on a deal with $126 million. The Blazers gave Justin Minaya a 2-way deal. And the Celtics ownership group, led by Wick Grusbeck, has put the Celtics up for sale just 2 weeks after winning the championship. The Mariners open up a set tomorrow at T-Mobile Park against the Orioles. M's lead in the West now just 3.5 games. They're 3-8 in their last 11 and have dropped back-to-back games. All right, interesting details. This is coming from Chris Haynes, Godfather. What does he have to say?
Well, according to Chris Haynes, at least he's being quoted on here. I haven't found the original tweet yet. He says that DeMar DeRozan is going to sign with the Lakers. Yeah, I don't know. It's from NBA Central, so you never know. But
Well,
Chris would get that first, probably, since it's a Clutch Sports deal.
all right, so we'll have to keep it.
Let's keep it on the tentative side right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at this here. It says there's been communication between the Lakers and DeMar DeRozan's agent. It will either take a 1-year deal or a sign and trade where you can get a 3-year deal going. So they're trying. They're looking at all their options. But obviously, keep an eye on that, because if they make a deal for DeMar DeRozan, they're not going to make a deal for Jeremy Grant. And maybe they're looking at DeMar DeRozan because they feel like they can make that move without giving up the draft compensation the Blazers would most certainly want in return for Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, that's their mission. They have said they don't want to give up any more draft picks. They've made that mistake too many times.
The thing is, Jeremy Grant's a better fit for them than DeMar DeRozan is.
I think so. Yeah, he would help them more.
What do you think about that, Burkhart? DeRozan or Grant? Who's the better fit for the Lakers between the two?
DeRozan or Durant?
No,
that what you said?
DeRozan or Grant.
You see what happens over here is I'm producing a show and then you involve me. I don't know. So not used to you involving me all the time. I like it. But I don't know. Is anyone a good fit for the Lakers? Is anyone a good fit for the Lakers? Like, DeRozan is good defensively. He's going to give him a good mid-range. I like that. He's not ball dominant, so that helps him a little bit. I think he could play off Anthony Davis, and he's an LA kid, USC, right? So, I mean, it makes sense. But at some point when you're the Lakers and LeBron, you got to stop going to the well of all the dudes on the backside of 30 in the twilight of their career if you want to really win a championship. Like, right? Like,
I just don't want DeMar DeRozan to go there because I want the Blazers to lift those draft picks from the Lakers. That's what I'm looking for.
yeah, and I get that. That one totally makes sense from that perspective. I do think DeMar DeRozan would fit in, but also he definitely wasn't their first choice either. So,
well, I think if Rob Pelinka had his way, there would be no more draft picks sent out. They'd be rebuilding right now. This is all LeBron. LeBron wants another veteran because he thinks they're going to make one more run at a championship. And I'm sure he wants his son to be a part of a championship team.
When was the last time Rob Pelinka had his say?
I don't think he ever has. He signed on. He probably knew what was coming.
I don't feel bad for him at all. He's getting paid well.
Oh, yeah.
And he's made some bad moves himself. So you can't always point the finger at LeBron on that. But no, LeBron is re-signing with the hopes that they're going to have a chance to go out there and compete.
Yeah.
So that means if you got to sacrifice draft picks to be able to go out there and find that player, then they'll look at that.
Yeah, and the one thing about drafting his son means he's coming back. I know he's opted out of the contract, but I don't think he's got any choice but to come back. I think
Well, of course he's coming back.
Well, I mean, that gives leverage to the team in terms of you still want to give him a max deal, even though, I mean, you're going to get him back.
Yeah, but LeBron's worth a max deal. Well, why wouldn't you
No,
give
I don't
LeBron a
think
max
he's
deal?
worth. I don't know that he's worth a max
well,
deal.
I look at a max in a variety of different ways. The franchise with LeBron on the team is worth significantly more than LeBron not on the team. So if you look at the value that he brings in terms of people showing up to games, people buying tickets, people buying merchandise, the television coverage, he brings a lot to the franchise. He's well worth a max contract.
Well, I think he was. I'm not sure he is now. I think all their TV deals are signed. I don't know. That's where their money comes from anyway. He's not helping them win, Chad. I know he's got great stats. That's what he works on. He tries like hell to get great stats, but I mean, they're a play-in team. That's what they are. I don't know.
Okay, well, what is he worth then? Like, if you don't want to pay him a max, how much would you pay him?
Give him $35 million a year. That's enough. He's made a ton of money in his career. Everybody else his age is taking less money.
Look, I'm with you on the LeBron hate. I'm all aboard.
That's not hate. That's reality.
No, he's worth a full supermax. You got to pay him whatever the max is. You can pay him that. There's no issue with that.
Even though it impedes the ability.
It doesn't impede the ability.
Well, they can't sign.
How much more money are they going to have? They don't have money to spend in free agency, even regardless of the amount.
Well,
that
they
LeBron
won't
signs
have
for
next year either if they sign him to that kind of contract.
I know, but what I'm saying is they're already over the cap. So
now, yeah,
they're over the cap now. So they're going to be over the cap next year too. I'm saying that LeBron would have to sign for peanuts in order to have any type of money under the cap to be able to sign a free agent.
Well, that's what he was going to do. Supposedly, he was going to take less money so they could sign somebody. He won't now. We'll see. If they get, maybe he'd do it for DeMar DeRozan. I don't know. But that's what he said. That's what Pelinka said. He would sign for less money if they could get that free agent guy.
I know, but what I'm talking about is when you talk about signing less, we're not talking about significantly less. He might take a few million off the top to get the deal done, but he's still going to make up there near the max.
Well,
I just think he's
how
worth
much do you have to do for the guy? I mean, you drafted his son for crying out loud.
Well, yeah, but he brings a lot of value to the franchise by being on the team. Again, keep in mind, without star power, people are not going to show up and watch that team play basketball in that town. And LeBron will bring people to the games.
Yeah, at some point they're going to have to rebuild their franchise.
Then don't sign LeBron at all, and don't re-up AD.
That would have been the best.
But
idea.
that wasn't their plan. They chose to move forward with LeBron and continue to play this out because they want the star power of LeBron. So if you're going to do that, then you can't try to cut corners on how much you're going to pay him. That's just how it goes. We've already talked about this. When you get in bed with LeBron, you got to play by his rules. That's how it has to be. If you don't want to do that, then don't do it at all.
Well, they finally got leverage on him now. I would take advantage
and
of it.
how would that conversation go exactly? Like, if you truly don't believe LeBron is worth the max that you can pay him, then how would you strike up that conversation?
Here's what we want to pay you. This is what you're worth to us.
Okay. And what if he tells you, well, I disagree, and that's disrespect, and I'm going to go elsewhere?
Go elsewhere.
Okay.
Then we can rebuild the team.
They didn't want to do that, though. They didn't want to do it.
Oh, I think Pelinka wanted to do it.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's time. He doesn't want to be held hostage by that guy any longer.
I don't buy that
they have
at
no
all.
chance to win. They're not going to win.
Well, I know that, and you know that.
They
when you
know
talk
that
about
too.
win, you're talking about winning a championship. Yeah, they're not going to win a championship.
No, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
You just told me the other day you think they're going to win more games than they did last year.
Well,
so they're right around 50 games.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs.
They will be in the playoffs or they will be a play-in team. They'll be a part of the postseason.
Yeah, but if they're a play-in team, it doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs.
No, I'm just telling you. I think they'll be a play-in team or a playoff team. They'll be in the mix to get one of those playoff spots. The West is really deep.
Yeah.
But I think your hate for LeBron has gone a little bit too far when you talk about he's not worth a max.
So I'm the only guy out here saying that?
I don't know. Are you? I never said you
No,
were.
I'm definitely not. No.
I don't care how many people along with you are saying that. I just believe he's worth a max because I look at a player and the value he brings to the franchise. And the value LeBron brings to the franchise goes far beyond what he brings to you on the basketball court. And he still was right there with AD as the best player on the team last year. He was. He's not the same player that he was 10 years ago, but no one this deep into their career is going to be the same player, but he's still very productive.
I'm not telling you he's not the most valuable player on their team. I just don't think he's a max player anymore.
Well, you and I define max differently. I look at the whole package. What does he bring to you on the floor? What does he bring to you in terms of ticket sales and merchandise and attention and all of that? And LeBron, whether we like to admit it or not, he brings all of that to the Lakers because that's a town that if you don't have a star or you don't have star power, people have better things to do. I'll go to the beach. I'll go on a hike. I'll go on a walk. I'll go out to a Dodger game. They're not going to waste their time with stuff that makes no sense to them. They want star power. And that's what LeBron brings to the table.
Okay. They've had some bad teams there, and the people still showed up.
Yeah.
It's a Laker town, man.
Well, but what you're saying is that obviously if you're going to agree to bring LeBron back, then you know you're going to have to pay him. So what you're saying is that they just made the mistake to bring him back. They should have parted ways with him.
Yeah, they probably should have. But what I'm saying to you is he's coming back. There is no question he's coming back.
Well, I agree. But if he's going to come back, you can't lowball him on the contract offer.
That's what you do to everybody else.
But star players don't get that type of treatment. Was Dame worth the supermax extension he got from the Trailblazers?
Yeah, at that time he was.
It was?
Yeah.
Or he's getting 50 or 60 million on the back end of that contract?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
Well, he had the leverage to get it.
And that's what LeBron has.
He has
it's all
no
about leverage. LeBron has no leverage?
No.
He doesn't?
No. Because he's got to come back.
He doesn't have to come back.
Sure he does. He's not going to let his kid sit there by himself. He's coming back. That was the whole thing.
So what you're saying is now that they've drafted his son, then they can use that leverage against him.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going to work.
They did him a big favor, man. A big favor.
That's true, but they're not going to turn around and stick it to him and say, well, we drafted your son, so now we're only going to go up this high in terms of what we're going to pay you. What team does that in the NBA?
Well, just wait until they're lousy again.
So you're trying to tell me that they would try to lowball LeBron when he's represented by Clutch.
Well, that's what I've been saying. Absolutely. Yeah.
No one's going to try and lowball LeBron when they're represented by Clutch. I mean, that's crazy talk right there. Why would you do that? You're going to offend Clutch and LeBron and try to lowball him because they drafted his son?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, they're not going to do that. I just think that's crazy. Why would you think they would do that?
I think they'll pay him less because I think he'll take less.
If he's willing to take less, but they're not only because he would agree to do it. It's not because they forced him into taking less. Hey, LeBron, we're only going to pay you this much.
Stupid idiot!
You really think they would do that?
I think they would like to not have to pay him as much as they are. It's still a mom and pop franchise.
Well, I mean, there's probably a lot of players in the league that teams would like to not pay as much as they do, but there's no way around it.
And the ones who they have leverage over, they don't pay as much.
I know, but the players in the league that have leverage always get what they want. LeBron's got leverage. I mean, I would argue he's got as much leverage as anybody in the NBA because of the power that he wields with his agency. Wouldn't you agree with that? That LeBron probably wields as much power as anybody else in the league?
Absolutely.
He just got a team to draft his son that wasn't NBA ready.
Yeah,
that's
and he
power.
gave up some leverage by doing it.
I don't think he gave up any leverage because he's still represented by Clutch. And if you want to do business moving forward in the NBA and you're Rob Pelinka, you probably don't want to piss off LeBron.
I think he has more leverage because with all the stuff that was coming out with Rich Paul's texting this person and that person, and then the Lakers bow to him, and we all know he runs Clutch. They are doing everything they can to not irritate Clutch, right? They want LeBron at all costs. I don't think they're going to pull up a,
So you think they're in danger of losing him?
No, but they're making. I'm reading this as they aren't in danger of truly losing, but they're making sure that there are no loose ends so that he is back and he's still going to get his cash.
Well, he certainly needs the money, that's for sure.
Well, what does that got to do with anything?
Nothing. But he sure needs a sarcastic comment is what it was.
Well, billionaires.
In all sports, you see guys take less money so that their team can get better by doing that.
No, you rarely see that, actually.
Well, you see it.
Not
The
often.
top players do it.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. Never
Who?
mind. Never mind. Who? You know who? What do you mean who?
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Yeah. Okay, there's one guy.
Yeah.
That's about it. So Tom Brady's
Well,
the
it's
one
not about
example.
it.
Yeah, it is about it. Everyone else gets paid.
He's been paid plenty.
Okay, I don't care. Guys don't care how much they've been paid. They're always looking for more money. But you start making a list of how many guys have taken less money, and it's not going to be a very big list. It's going to start with Tom Brady and end with Tom Brady.
He's on fire!
I mean, you surprise me with these comments, Godfather. Somehow LeBron doesn't have great power that he wields in the NBA.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they have leverage on this.
No,
That's
they
what
don't.
I'm saying. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
No, I disagree.
They just took his kid in the draft.
Yeah?
He's not going to go somewhere else if his kid's a Laker. Okay? Are we clear on that? You think he is?
so
think
you
he's
think they're gonna try and
he's
lowball
gonna,
him with
He's
clutch?
going to leave Bronny behind to go somewhere else.
I never said that. But you
Okay.
think they're going to try and lowball him with clutch?
Not lowball him, but they don't have to pay him the full max.
Your hatred for LeBron is blinding you right now. Blinding you.
Has nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't hate him. I don't ever use
Okay.
that word, hatred.
But then how would you describe your feelings for LeBron?
He's over the hill.
You dislike him. You think he's a fraud.
Yeah, he is a fraud.
Okay. Whatever you want to
I
use.
don't hate him.
Okay, fine.
Okay?
You don't hate him.
No.
You don't like LeBron, though, do you?
No.
Okay. You don't like him.
Right.
So neither one of us like LeBron.
Right.
I think that's blinding you from understanding the type of power that he has in this situation. That's all.
But you're not understanding. You always look at these things from the monetary aspect. I'm trying to tell you how you run basketball teams, and you try not to give every penny to somebody who doesn't have the leverage to get it.
And all I'm telling you is the top players in the NBA, the stars, they always get every penny. And LeBron is still a top star in the NBA that has more power in the league than anybody. As a player, I can't think of another guy that has more power than he does. Can
I'm
you?
not disputing that. I'm not disputing that. He has
Okay.
more power
Yeah, then how are the Lakers supposed to go to him and say, we don't want to pay you what
because
you're
they have
fully worth?
leverage. Like I told you, you're not listening.
They don't have leverage.
Oh, okay.
We just
All right.
disagree. I don't think they have
No.
leverage on him.
So I'm telling you, he's coming back to the Lakers. He's coming back. There's no question. He's coming back.
Yeah,
That's the big question. With a free agent, you got to pay him to keep him. Not this time. Not this time.
Yeah, and I'm just telling you, they're not going to lowball him. We'll come back. We'll continue. We just disagree, Godfather. It's okay.
I agree.
Well, don't get so bitter.
I'm not bitter.
You're
You're
not
the
bitter?
one accusing me of hating him. You're talking about,
Okay.
you a hater. You're like, no, I'm just telling you the facts.
The facts?
That's the facts. Yeah, that's the facts.
I told
they
you the
don't
facts.
have
They're
to,
not going to lowball him.
Well, they don't.
That's a
have-
fact.
I'm telling you, they don't have to give him the max to have him come back. He's not going to get mad and say, "Oh, I'll go get the max from Charlotte. They'll give me the max." No, he's going to be a Laker. That's what he's going to be.
Even if they lowball him, he'll come back.
I didn't say lowball him. Lowball him would be vet minimum. That's lowballing him.
Oh, that would be insane.
Well, that's exactly right. I didn't say that. You
Well, we
said it.
disagree. I think he's worth the
You're
max.
not going to lowball him.
I don't even know what you're saying anymore.
I told you they don't have to give him the max. That's all I'm saying. They don't. They don't have to give him the max.
But they will.
Well, maybe so. That would not be smart.
I don't even know if that's PG.
All right, Godfather, here's the salary mess that the Lakers are in right now. Without counting Christie and before resigning LeBron, the Lakers are already only $50.8 million below the first apron. Re-signing James to his max would push them dangerously close to the first apron as is. If they wanted to use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception or sign and trade for Thompson, they'd have to shed salary elsewhere. This, of course, came out before Thompson went to the Mavericks. To avoid getting hard capped at the first apron, the Lakers could instead just sign James to his max and then spend the $5.2 million taxpayer mid-level exception instead. However, the Christie extension, if it starts at $7.1 million and James' max salary roughly $50 million, would put the Lakers at roughly $184.5 million with only 13 roster spots filled. Even if the Lakers fill one of those two spots by signing Bronny James to a $1.1 million rookie minimum deal, they'd be at $185.6 million or roughly $3.3 million under the second apron. LeBron might need to take a slight pay cut for the Lakers to gain access to the full taxpayer mid-level exception, but he'd have to take a $10+ million less than his max for the Lakers to have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. The exact number in either scenario depends on what else the Lakers do with their roster this offseason and how they acquire their big splash. So really with LeBron, depending on what they're able to accomplish via sign and trade or whatever, how much money he decides to take would basically depend on what, mid-level exception they have access to. So,
Well, I would think if he would take $10 million less and they could get the full mid-level exception, that would help them get a serviceable player, especially a veteran player that he seems to want. He doesn't want to play, and I don't blame him. He doesn't want to play with rookies. We heard the same from Dame. At this point of their careers, they want to win, so they don't want to be saddled with a bunch of rookies. So I would think take $10 million less. That's a fair thing to do.
well, the good news for Blazer fans, the mid-level exception is you can't get a big-time difference maker with the mid-level exception. You can get a good player, someone that can be helpful, but not that big-time difference maker.
Well, it's better than signing somebody at the minimum, which is going to be their only other choice. They've got to get players there. They got an open roster spot. They need a guy who can actually play. You can get that with a mid-level exception.
Yeah, and he would be open to doing that, I'm sure. Like if he knew that you could get X, Y, and Z player, if he were able to, structure his deal to where they could have access to, a particular mid-level, then I'm sure he'd be open to that.
Well, you're going to have to explain to him what it's for, but he's not going to know the player when he signs his contract, when he takes less money, because that player won't be available for a while, probably. Now, he could hold out on free agency and not sign for a while.
Well, LeBron doesn't have to sign right away. He can wait
Yeah, I
till the
understand
Lakers.
that. I'm just saying he could not sign for a while, but they can get a better player if he takes $10 million less.
Or the Lakers could just go to him and be like, look, we've already taken care of you above and beyond. We're going to pay you this much, and we're going to make sure that our roster's taken care of.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, I know, but that would be crazy if they did that. They won't deal with LeBron like that. I mean, I think that's the only thing that you and I are having touching points on with LeBron is how they communicate with him or how they deal with him is different than how they're going to deal with anyone else on the roster.
Well, I've seen that already. We know that. Everybody knows that. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, add Tim Duncan to the list. Tim Duncan and Tom Brady. Tim Duncan took less money
You think
for the
they're
Spurs.
the only two?
I didn't say that. I
Okay.
know that there are other guys on the list. You made it sound
Okay.
like there's hundreds and hundreds of guys taking less money.
That's not what I said.
That's what you made it sound like, though. Like there's a long
Oh,
list of athletes who have taken less money
All right.
for the
I said-
betterment of their team.
Well, let's just say I said hundreds and hundreds.
I'm
that
sta-
fits your narrative better. I mean, that's fine if you want to
I'm
say I
not
said
creating
that.
a narrative, no.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying what you made it sound like. Like there's just tons
Oh.
of guys who are doing it.
Well, they're big
Why
guys.
are you getting so touchy right
There's
now,
big guys.
Godfather?
I'm not the touchy one. You're the
Why
one.
are you
You're
getting so
making stuff
touchy?
up. You're the one that said there's hundreds of guys that did it. So, no, that's not what I said.
getting
I'm just
touchy.
correcting you.
I don't know why you have to get touchy with me like this, Godfather.
That's
Why you
funny.
got to do that?
Touchy.
I like it when you get riled up.
We all know who's touchy in here.
And I love it, too, because
You're
all day
crazy,
long-
Godfather. You're crazy.
All day long, you blast LeBron along with me. But then I say hate, and you're like, I don't hate the guy.
I don't hate him.
Okay, well, let's not
You-
get hung up on
I'm
semantics.
not into the modern slang of he's a hater. He hates every. No, I don't hate. I don't really hate anybody.
Call it what you want. I'm just going to, I can't stand him. I can't stand LeBron.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you hate him though.
I don't even know him.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
what I
can't
mean.
stand him. I don't like his
I
act.
just don't like using the word hate. I never use it.
Okay.
It's different. It's
That's
a
right.
different
You're
level.
you're not a hater.
No, I'm not. Never have been.
No.
I don't hate. I educate.
I would never accuse you of being a hater, Godfather.
Thank you. I don't hate. I educate.
Anything else you want to educate me on? I love it because you look at me like I'm a fool, and I'm just telling you that I don't know what
Well,
you
you
expect
call
the
me
Lakers
crazy
to do.
all the time, so I can look at you like you're a fool.
Well, I just don't understand what you want the Lakers to do. I mean, when you get in bed with LeBron, you got to play by his rules.
Well, I don't think you have to sign him for the max. That's all I'm saying. I don't think you do.
Well, and you don't. If you can make a good case to LeBron as to why you need him to take less money, he would take less money.
I would say we got to keep that mid-level exception open for somebody to come around. He might not even come around till the season starts, but we got to keep that open to give us a chance to sign a player. You want to win? We've got to take every opportunity to get better than rookie minimum players. We've got to get guys we can throw onto the floor for you. Maybe it's some guy who can only shoot, can't do anything else. But if we can get a shooter, we'll do that.
I also think there are teams where they'll come to you and say, well, we need you to take less so we can do this, this, and that. And it's like, and those teams shouldn't be trusted because they've proven over their track record that they can't be trusted to find the right guys to put around you.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. But he usually picks the guys to go around him. So
No, that's true.
Very often his choice. What's the mid-level going to be this year? Do we know?
Hey, Burkhart, will you look up the exact number on the mid-level for
Because
this
it
year?
just the new cap just came out like yesterday or today. Today, I think it came out.
I'm just not a big fan of players taking less money.
Oh,
for their
I don't
team.
care if they do. I'd like to see them take less.
No, I don't like to see it because I think players have been taken advantage of enough over the years where I like to see them try to get as much as they possibly can.
I think pro basketball players haven't been taken advantage of too much.
Well, to
They're
a
all
degree,
making pretty good money.
that's true, but they're making good money, but the superstars are severely underpaid too because there have been stars in the league who are worth a lot more to their franchise than what they were getting paid. And I think it's nice to see guys getting their own sometimes. I'm just a big fan of guys getting taken care of. I don't like to see football players, taking a hometown discount to help out their team.
Well, football players are entirely different. They're entirely different. They've never been well taken care of given the risk that they play their game.
I'm just when it's the star players, guys like LeBron or guys like Kobe or guys like MJ, they're worth so much more to their teams than what they're being paid. And so that's why I don't like seeing them taking less money. It's like you bring so much value to that franchise, you need to get as much as you possibly can. And you only get to play for X number of years, so make the most of it while you get a chance to do that. I just side with the players when it comes to that kind of stuff. Now, there are situations where if you have a chance to compete and win a championship, and if they can show you on paper how if you take a few less bucks here, or if we structure a contract like this, that we can get this player to help you win and accomplish your goal, then and if you get the player on board with that, I think that's fine too. But I just don't like how fans look at the player like, oh, how can you ask for so much money? They put it on the player. These owners have been getting over for so long, and somehow they still manage to get the fans on their side and blame the players for when they go after deals. Like Klay Thompson, for instance. I mean, the guy played at Golden State for almost his entire career, and he decides he wants to make X number of dollars and wants to go elsewhere, and he's being vilified for it. I don't understand why. Why should he be vilified because he's got a certain number he wants to make, and he decides to go to Dallas? I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think with the case of Klay Thompson, it has a lot to do with the 2 years that he played for them when he didn't play at all, and he made $64 million for not playing.
Yeah, well,
I think there's resentment about that.
Well, the injuries happen. You know, I mean, you can't guarantee that you're going to be healthy. I mean, those 2 injuries he suffered were freak, catastrophic accidents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate.
But my point is, I understand that. And he was playing for the team. He was hurt on the job. I get all that. The point is he made $64 million. They paid him.
Yeah.
He couldn't play. He made it. I think he's been well cared for. He's made a lot of money playing for them. I don't know how much you're supposed to make or what's right or what the appropriate pay is. He made a lot of money for them. He enjoyed playing there by all accounts. And if he wanted to leave, he has that right. I don't want players. It's like I I would never say such and such a player shouldn't make this much money. What I'm saying is overall, I think there'd be a consensus that uh, uh, all rich people make too much money.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I,
to a degree.
well,
I mean,
I just come from the standpoint that make as much as you can get,
yeah.
regardless of whether you're an athlete or you run business or whatever. I don't get hung up on how much someone makes. If you can make $1 billion, make $1 billion. If you can make $50 million a year playing for the Lakers, make $50 million a year playing for the Lakers.
I agree.
Whatever someone's willing to pay you for your service, you should do that. And for Klay Thompson, he's at the point in his career where this was his last chance to get paid before he's done. I think he's washed. I don't think he has much left to offer. Dallas was willing to get this deal done, sign and trade. He gets 3 years, $50 million, and that'll be his last big-time payday in the NBA. More power to him. You know, it's his career. He can go wherever he wants. What do I care?
That's what the rules are.
And he was part of a team that made the ownership group in Golden State a lot of money. I mean, the Warriors were the toast of the town for a decade, winning championships, big time. I mean, sellouts, you name it. I mean, he was part of something that made the ownership group a lot of money and brought them a lot of fame and success. So he should, whatever penny he can get, he should be able to get it. That's the way I look at it. And maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't have a problem with the player getting as much as he feels like he is worth. Or if he wants to go elsewhere, if he doesn't like the amount of money that's being offered to him in one spot and he wants an extra year, then go get it. Because it's his last chance to do it, and Dallas is willing to do it. So why not take it?
Yeah, I bet he should never turn it down.
All right. Okay, let's talk about this, Godfather. We'll get off of money for just a second. You were at the press conference on Saturday with Donovan Clingan. The big talk throughout the course of the press conference was DeAndre Ayton and his reaction, which was positive to the news they had drafted Donovan Clingan. I think a lot of people were concerned about that. And this idea that they could play together, something that Chauncey Billups and Joe Cronin were both playing into and liked the idea of. What do you think about those two guys coexisting on the floor together and being able to play two bigs, Clingan, Ayton together for the Trailblazers? Does that make sense? What's going on there?
Well, I think it'd be difficult to do that. I think the idea that I think it works best if one of the two players can stretch the floor. If one of them can make threes, if one of them can get out behind the arc and pull the defense out, then it makes more sense. When you have two guys who can't shoot threes on the floor at the same time, it's much tougher for everybody concerned. The paint's more crowded and three-point shooters get more attention. There's no question that that is tougher. And in this case, I think Clingan is a center, and I think Ayton is a center. And you try to make one of them a power forward, a four, shall we say, that's difficult. I don't know that you can do that for a long period of time, and neither one of them should be a backup. DeAndre Ayton is a starting center. He showed that last year. I think you move him, you draft it, for the same reason you move Anthony Simons. You got to clear a path for the young guys that you've just drafted. So I think in this case, you move Ayton, get what you can for him. Don't worry about what he becomes somewhere else. Just move him and think about what you're going to get for this team, and then allow the rookie to develop. That's the way I see it.
I'm with you on that. You don't draft a guy at 7 to have him ride the pine. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
No, just like Shaden Sharp, he's drafted at 7. He's got to play. You got to find out about him and Scoot at the same time. Can they play together? Does it work? Does one of them show a lot more promise than the other? We don't know any of that yet because they just haven't been on the floor enough.
All right, Burkhart, the number I'm seeing here for the new CBA, the non-taxpayer mid-level exception is $12.8 million. The taxpayer mid-level is $5.1, and the mid-level for a team with room under the salary cap is $7.9. Is that what you're seeing?
Wheeling and dealing. That's right in line with what they have been. So yeah.
So the full taxpayer,
non-taxpayer
mid-level, 12.8.
Hey, you got some tickets to give away, right?
$12.8 million is not going to get much of a player.
Oh, I don't know. You think you can't find a player for $12 million?
I mean, not a star player for what they're looking for.
You're not going to get a star. They've blown their chance for that. DeMar DeRozan.
Well, sign and trade. The way they get their star would be a sign and trade.
Yeah.
All right, we have tickets to give away, and this is going to be for Hairfest. In fact, Jason Feldman's going to be in studio here in a week, and we'll get a chance to discuss Hairfest, where they have all the best bands getting together to play all the music that you love. Opening night of Hairfest, and it's going on July 18th to the 20th at the Clackamas County Event Center in Canby. That's out there in your neck of the woods, Godfather. You can get your tickets to the mother of all tribute festivals now at hairfest.com. So if you'd like a pair of tickets for the opening night to Hairfest, 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. Call now for a pair of tickets to the opening night at Hairfest, the mother of all tribute festivals. Call now, 503-248-0620. First caller through gets a pair of tickets for Hairfest, courtesy of the Rip City Drive. All right, Chris Burkhart. I will come to you first to see if you have any high fives or mentions you want to hand out. You got anything?
Yeah, I'm going to give a high five to Klay Thompson because there's so much hate going around on social media. But you know what? He said, I want to win a ring. He didn't care about the legacy in Golden State. So I'm going to go to a team that I think is in a better position to do it. So high five to Klay Thompson.
All right. You want to give a high five out to Hawk Tour or anything like that,
No,
Godfather?
just don't say that.
Okay.
I'd like to give a high five out to Donovan Clingan, who's coming to a team where he knows he's not going to be winning a ring anytime soon, yet still seems very excited about it.
All right. I don't have any high fives to hand out today.
Why not?
Well, I just don't have any to hand out. What can I say? Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. Alex Brink's going to be in studio on Wednesday to talk football and preview the We Play at Invitational, which is coming up on July 15th. That's going to be nice. Looking forward to that. And this is going to be a great week. July 4th. It's going to be a short week for all of us, Godfather. That's something to celebrate right there.
A lot of golf over this coming weekend.
Yeah. I was informed that your wife has booked a tee time for July 4th at Willamette Valley Country Club.
That's true.
I will be getting in 36 holes that day. Thank you, Nancy. High five to Nancy. Nancy, once again, has figured out a way to get a high five. I just remembered the golf invite. Thank you, Nancy. Nancy Salisbury, high five recipient.
Oh, there it was. I was trying, but the board froze
Yeah,
on
I
me.
was going to say, what are you, on strike in there or what?
Yeah, the darn system froze. It was my bad.
I love this weather, Godfather. It's spectacular outside. It's warm. Oh, by the way,
I'm just sitting here freezing, so I'll take your word for it.
I have enrolled Puppy Shots into the Pup City Walk around Motor Center coming up on July 27th.
How far is that walk?
It's short enough for a wiener dog, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, because he doesn't walk all that far, right?
No, and he'll be a pain in. He'll probably be. He'll be excited to go on a walk. But let me give you some details on Pup City. All right, Saturday, July 27th, Pup City, presented by Tavo. Pup City is an event featuring all our favorite things: Portland's Trailblazers and our dogs. And all kinds will meet at Motor Center for a walk around the Rose Quarter campus, led by the only cat-allowed Blaze. And while you're at Motor, you can enjoy drinks, tasty treats, and fun things for your dog from participating vendors like Tavo, Blue Star Donuts, Stumptown. That's good. I love Stumptown coffee, Portland Pet Food, and much more. So we're going to do a little stroll around the Rose Quarter campus, Godfather. I think Puppy Shots will have fun. Anytime I say, hey, puppy, you want to go for a ride? He goes crazy. And then he goes crazy and ballistic in the car. So it'll be fun to get him out there for that.
Our dog does the same thing. He goes, we have to belt him into the back seat now because he knows when he's getting a walk. And there's one particular turnoff that if we turn that direction, he just goes crazy, wants to jump in the front, wants to jump all over the car. So, yeah, they love the walks.
So good. But your dog is bigger. Well, every dog's bigger than Puppy Shots. I think he checks in at about 11 pounds, 10 and a half to 11 pounds. And most of that comes in his long hair, his fur.
Yeah, I don't know I can't remember what our guy weighs. But more than that, for sure.
I just want more stories about him chasing after the cows that get loose out in Canby.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't good.
And Puppy Shots would be freaked out by the cows. He would bark at them from afar, but he would not want to get close to them.
Well, that's smart. They crush him with one step.
Yeah, he's not dumb. I did have, the neighbors that have the unruly backyard. Usually every summer they buy the goats. They go back there and eat everything. I've never seen anything like it, to be honest with you. And Shots barks at them all the time, but I did pick him up and put his nose through the fence, and he touched nose with one of the goats, and they both wagged their tails. And Shots seemed happy, and then put him back down on the ground and started barking at them again.
No kidding. Hey, my dog still barks at me once in a while when I come into the house.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm like, Shots, you know what I look like. What's the deal here?
Why do they
can't
do
help
that?
themselves. I don't know.
Just a reaction, I think.
Yeah.
Some sort of, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish dogs could talk. They would tell such great stories. And there's so many times I say, "Are you okay?" But
See,
they can't tell you.
I've asked that before. Like I thought, man, it'd be kind of nice to be puppy shots for like a few minutes, just to know what goes through his mind and how he looks at me. But then I thought, if I was him for a few minutes and realized how little thought he actually has, then I might be disappointed in him. So, what he lacks in intelligence, he makes up for in his sweetness. Because some dogs are super smart, like some of the retrievers and stuff. I love watching the videos.
Oh yeah,
They're geniuses.
yeah.
You've seen the bat dogs, right? The dogs they have out there in the minor league fields that
Oh
retrieve
yeah,
the bats.
chase the bats out. Yeah.
I don't think shots could do that.
Yeah. Our dog won't fetch, and it drives me crazy. I would love to throw a ball, have him go get it. The neighbor dogs will do it. They'll run over and get the ball. But our guy just looks at you like, I'm not crazy. What do you?
The
Gotta
shots
go
does
get
fetch.
that.
I got the little squeakers. He goes crazy for him.
Oh,
And he runs wild.
can't get Jack to do it.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Chris Burkhardt for being here. Godfather, I love you. Tomorrow, the Rip City Drive at 3. Colin Amos, our good friend, will be coming in
Oh yeah.
pre-4th of July to answer all of your relationship questions, which is always very helpful.
Yes. Always
Burkhardt,
entertaining, by the way.
you've got Courtside coming up next, 6 to 7. Action-packed with the draft and free agency. So stay tuned. Chris Burkhardt has Courtside coming up next. We're back tomorrow at 3. Justin Myers with Rip City Mornings at 6. Have a good night.
Whoa, that's Chris Burkhart's music. I didn't even know I got to host this show anymore. Holy smokes. I love it. It's kind of nice. It has been a while. We've taken some time off. Understandably, though, right? Because there wasn't a lot of Blazer news going on, man. What are you going to do when there's no Blazer news going on? The season was done. They weren't doing much. You got to get through the playoffs, watch a little bit of the playoffs. Here we are, though, now. We got Blazer news to talk about. We've seen the draft. Free agency's underway now. It is quite amazing that we finally got something to talk about. And teams they're wheeling and dealing. They're getting new players in, old players out. There are some new faces in new places. We'll talk about it here today on Courtside Monday. Of course, we're going to talk about Donovan Clingan, your newest Portland Trailblazer. That will be fun. I don't know what you think. I think it's pretty awesome. I'm also joined by friend of the show, friend of mine, Peyton Davis, who's over here. He's on. He doesn't know that YouTube's on, so he's just standing up. He's on the camera. He's like, "What's going on?" But he didn't grab. See, you didn't grab headphones, did you?
Nope.
Didn't grab headphones.
Nope.
Rookie mistake.
Absolutely.
Guess what? I'll get you hooked up in the break. Hey, I'll keep talking. There's a pair over there you can grab. See if they'll fit in for you. We'll get you taken care of, though. Peyton is unfortunately he graduated from this place right here. I'm gonna put it on camera there. Oregon State University. His mom works with me over at the OSAA. He's a sports nut. He likes the old sports, so that's pretty cool. And he's doing what every young sports fan should do, and that is like, hey, are you free? Hey, do you think I can show up? Think I can come into the studio today? Think I can come and see what this is all about? And so here he is. So welcome in, Peyton. You've been here before. The fans might remember. You've done a show with me.
Yeah. Where do I plug these in?
Hey, you can hear me. I'm loud. Just deal that. You won't need to hear anything else. I'll take care of you, okay?
Cool.
You just let me captain the ship.
Love it.
I know I do some Blazer shows every once in a while.
That is what you're good at. Yeah.
With the captain, Rich Patterson, but I am the captain of the Rip City radio ship today. So you're going to be just fine, my friend. And you were in the back with me while we were getting the Rip City Drive on air, right? You were learning some of the producing stuff, and we were just going over what's going on and happening around the league. And I think you and I, Peyton, before we get into the big Blazer stuff, let's continue the conversation that Dwight and Chad were having about good old LeBron
Absolutely.
James.
A lovely conversation.
If you guys weren't listening, the Godfather doesn't think doesn't think LeBron is a max player at this point. And he's like, I'd give him, 35 mil or what have you. Thinks that the Lakers have all the leverage. I don't think so, Peyton. I think LeBron still has all the leverage. I think it was proven that he has all the leverage when at 55, the Lakers did what nobody thought was going to happen with any team other than the Lakers. And they, with the 55th pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Bronny James.
Yeah, I think they might have just said with the 55th overall pick, they select LeBron's son.
Like they could have just said that.
Could have just said that at the draft. Yeah, it was something.
Does he call himself like Prince James? If you got the king, do you have the prince?
Yeah, maybe that's a team only thing. I don't know.
I don't know, but to me, it felt like he holds all the cards, right? Like, hey, you're gonna do this. You're gonna. I don't like Frank Vogel. Get him out of here. Bring in Darvin Ham. Hey, guess what? I don't like Darvin Ham anymore. Get him out of here. Bring in JJ Redick. He's my buddy. He's my buddy. Like the podcast. He knows his stuff, guys. Bring him in. Draft my son. Like,
yeah.
Who's running the ship over there? If I'm the captain of the Courtside Monday, he's the captain of the Los Angeles Lakers boat.
Correct. And I think once again, I don't want this to be a Godfather bash session here.
Oh, it's never. There's no such thing.
But I think that, yeah, LeBron is absolutely. I mean, once again, I think Chad hit it on the head here. What do you define as the max? You're getting a player. You're getting a coach. Really, you're getting a guy who is honestly probably telling Rob Pelinka a lot of what to do. Who are you going to hire? What are you going to do? Bring JJ in. This reminds me of when you had Kevin Durant really advocating for Steve Nash over in Brooklyn. And what do you have now? So I don't know. I think that in terms of holding all the cards, yeah, LeBron has all the cards.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think he has all the cards because he can walk out on free agency. Everyone can say, just like Dwight said, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he's ever going
No.
anywhere. He walked into free agency knowing he can redo his contract and come back.
Mm-hmm.
But when the guy walks out in free agency and you're still listening to everything thing he does, he holds the cards. He's LeBron.
He is. Yeah.
LeBron at almost 40 right there. Like, he's still one of the best players in the league. He's not what he was 10 years ago, but he's still a freak.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I saw something on social media actually recently. It was hilarious. Somebody asked Bryce James, his second oldest son behind Bronny, he was like, you think your dad's going to wait for you to enter the draft? You know, and he was like, my dad's going to be almost 43 years old. There's no way. And it was an uproar. So you have ESPN, NBA reporters asking his kids what he's going to do.
Right.
It sounds like leverage to me.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, we've never seen this before.
No.
A guy at
No.
this age of his career still playing incredible basketball. Like I said, he's not what he was, you know, in Cleveland and Miami. I mean, the prime LeBron was probably that Miami run, really, where he saw the best of the best out of him.
100%.
But he's still freaking good.
Yeah.
Like,
He's still doing what other players. Yeah.
I mean, if LeBron James hit the open market, granted he is a free agent right now, but if he hit the open market where teams had money and realistically thought that he was going to go anywhere, Dallas would have called him before they called Clay.
100%.
Philly would have called him before they called PG.
Bringing off the
every
hook.
team would have
Every
been
team.
after him.
Every
but no,
team.
it's all quiet because he's going back.
Yeah.
He's going to get his.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just found that was interesting, though. Enough of that Laker talk. There will be a little bit more Laker talk throughout this show, but it'll all come back to the Blazers. This is a Blazer show, and that's what we got to talk about. We will talk about Donovan Clingan. I do want to get your thoughts on the newest member of the Portland Trail Blazers, a rookie out of UConn, two-time national champion, two-time high school champion. All the dude does is win.
Knows how to win.
Yeah, great player. So we'll talk about him, talk about how the draft went down, if there was any surprises for you. But since we're talking about LeBron and free agency and all the things that are happening, let's keep it there. First off, with the Blazers. The Blazers have been quiet. And that was to be expected. There's not going to be a lot of moves. They re-upped. They got Delano Banton back for next year.
Mm-hmm.
They have Justin Minaya back on a 2-way contract.
Yep.
And that's it so far. Not a lot else. You've seen some smaller pieces move around the NBA. And the Blazers might very well find a way to bring someone in, but the roster's full. They got what they need. I mean, they got Ayton. Remember, not a lot of turnover, right? So they got Ayton, they got Walker, they got Tamani, they got Sharp, they got Scoot, they still have Ant, they still have Matisse Thybulle, they have Jeremy Grant, right? They have Duop Reith. And so you go to the roster's full. So it's not like, oh, Klay Thompson's available, let's bring him in
100%.
or whatever you want to do. But are you at all disappointed? You haven't seen maybe more moves yet? Because there was a lot going on here, Peyton. It could have been signing guys, it could have been trading guys. Now there has been a lot of smoke today.
Yeah,
right?
that's
About
true.
Jeremy Grant
Very,
to
very true.
the Lakers. See, I told you we'd get back there.
Yes,
But what's
absolutely.
your gut feeling as a Blazer fan, my man?
So far, gut feeling is this is something that I am very unfamiliar with as a Blazers fan, but I am hopeful. It is, you know, we recently, there has been some action. We traded for Denny from Washington, which was, I think, pretty solid for us.
See, I forgot. See, so much has been going
So
on.
much.
That's right,
So much.
Denny Advia, and we'll
Yes.
get into that a little bit more because I do think that's an underrated
I
move
think it's
right now.
underrated. And even just to bring back, once again, going into the draft, I saw a lot of people who had, you know, Donovan Clingan maybe, you know, in their top 3 to 5 picks, and to get him at 7 and not have to trade up is really awesome. And once again, kind of pivoting back to Denny, I don't think we were getting anybody of his caliber at that 14 pick, especially to contribute right away. You know what I mean? That's what my kind of thought was on that. And especially to come in as a, you know, 6'10", 215. He averages, I mean, you're looking at 15 and 7 rebounds. Jeremy's been playing the 4 for a long time. And I can't have my 4 averaging 3.2 rebounds per game. I
Right.
want him to average 7.5, especially on 52% shooting instead of 44. So I thought that was awesome for us. And it's one of those things where he kind of fits into our system a little bit, going back and having Denny play on a team with Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma, where he's not getting as many shots as he wants. It's like, be with a young core, help our team develop, and fit into a team that I think fits his skill set well and needs him.
Yeah, let's talk about that trade for a second. That's a great point there. But Denny Advia goes to Portland from Washington. It was Malcolm Brogdon, the 14th pick.
Yeah.
I believe there was another pick in there as well, another first-round pick in there as well. And I think a lot of Blazer fans in the moment were like, what? Why? This doesn't make sense. And what's interesting about this is at first, Denny Advia did finish 6th last year in the most improved player race.
Yeah.
So there was something there. He averaged 14.7 points, 7.2 rebounds, 3.4 assists, did shoot 37% from 3-point range. So he was showing off the arsenal. And there happened to be a reporter at the Blazers practice facility on draft night who had covered and done a lot of Washington Wizards stuff, and he was gushing over him. He's like, he's a baller. All he needs is the opportunity. Like, he's really good. Saw glimpses of it last year. Like, he was excited, and that's good to see. And the interesting part is, and that was my first reaction too, was I think he's better than anybody that was going to be available at 14 right now.
Agree.
Where their ceiling is, where they go, is neither here nor there at the moment. But right now, he's better. And people automatically go to the whole trade thing. So you're trading for a guy who's been in the league now, 4 years? Last year was his 4th year.
Absolutely, yeah.
But keep in mind, the Lakers ended up drafting Dalton Connect, right? Who was rumored a guy who Blazers could have picked there in the line. Yeah. Dalton Connect is 23 years old, born April 29th, okay? Danny Advia, 23 years old, born in January. So he's only a few months older than guys who were being drafted. So he's 100%. Still young. And he fits that timeline, the Shaden Sharp, the Scoot. DeAndre Ayton, who's another name you and I will get into throughout the show because people are like, do you trade him? Do you don't?
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton's only 25 years old.
Exactly.
So, again, those timeline things, Advia really meshes in with that.
Yeah, agreed. And it's one of those things, too, where, Dalton Connect looks like a great prospect out of Tennessee, correct? Out of Tennessee, he looks polished, but Denny has, like you said, those 3 years of professional basketball under his belt there. He has a lot of development in those 3 years. He, like you said, most improved player. I know he also, they're kind of handing these out nowadays, but he had a game last year where he had 43 and 15. And that's a feat for me. That's something to look at. And so, that was huge. And like you said, he's polished and he fits in. He's a real good plug and play player for us.
Yeah, I know you said they're handing them out too, but you still have to have a certain level of skill that not a lot of people possess to go drop 40 points in an NBA basketball game,
absolutely.
Right? It was a 43-point performance that you're alluding to, which was his career high. It was against the Pelicans. Of all teams,
which I'm sure we can talk Pelicans.
Yeah, we can talk Pelicans. Talk everything.
Murray, that's
that's interesting what they're doing as well. But no, that's a team that that team right there has Brandon Ingram, who's not a bad defender. Herb Jones, who's one of the best defenders in the game. Like they're big. They're going to make you work for it. Advia had 43 points. 6 of 10 from 3 in that game, 13 of 24 for overall. Also, it was a 15 rebound game too. So,
yeah, I mean that's
a good performance. That's
if
not
that
something
doesn't
that just
bring hope. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I think it's interesting to see where he fits in. Do you play him at the 3? Do you play him at the floor? He has the ability to play both. He's listed more as a small forward, but like you said, 6'10", brings a lot of versatility to the floor.
Yeah,
underrated move really because instantly everyone has been focusing on Donovan Clingan, who you and I will talk about after the break. But that happened on the same night. He's right there, and he's a new Blazer too. And how does that impact something? So, you know what? That's where we're going to go. We're going to take a break here on Courtside Monday. When we come back, we are going to talk about that NBA draft. We're going to talk about Donovan Clingan. How does it impact DeAndre Ayton's future? What possible lineups are there out there? Because I think it's interesting, Peyton, because everyone's automatically going to the sell. They can't be good. But this team might be able to be better than people think. Which way do they go? We'll talk about it next after the break on Trailblazers Courtside.
Awesome. Do I need these?
No, if you can hear me, you're good.
I can hear you.
Welcome back in to Courtside Monday. I was laughing over here because the music, Peyton doesn't have headphones. He's lucky right now. I forgot to set him up properly. But I was like, okay, Oaks is producing, Mike Oaks. You haven't met him. Wonderful guy. And I'm like, man, the music's coming in real loud in my ear. Like, why? And I'm like, oh, it's because Chad was in here. Chad, who you met, doing, who everyone loves, I think his ears are just they're not what they used to be, right? Just like LeBron is.
Gotcha.
And I just why the music was coming in loud in my ear, because the on a scale of 1 to 10, he turns it up to 12 on this thing, and it blasts my ears out. And so,
That's
folks,
awesome.
It wasn't you. Thank you. You're doing a wonderful job. This was user error.
I was going to
but
ask
it
you
was-
why you were yelling in the mic at the beginning, but it's
because I was
blew
like,
your
the-
eardrums
I-
out.
The
Yeah.
music was so loud. And I forgot that Chad can't hear. And Chad didn't have his earbuds in. He had the headphones.
The big ones.
It
Yeah.
messed up everything.
Oh, geez.
When you have to put the earphones in your ear all the time, it just messes with you. It's quite the battle we have to do. Chris Burkhardt here
Yeah.
with you on Courtside Monday, joined today by a friend of the show, Peyton Davis. He was on with me once last year, but maybe we'll get him on a few more times. A recent grad of the prestigious Oregon State University. That's right. Even a duck can say nice
Thank you.
things
Respect.
about
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
friends up north. But no, you graduated there, and you're a big sports guy, so I'm giving you some chances to come in. It does help that that your mom's office desk is a stone's throw from mine at the OSAA.
Yes.
That your dad likes to frequent the office, and he got to make sure that I'm treating everybody right. So.
I'm just trying not to spoil the chances now. That means it's the other way around too. If I mess this up, my mom will she'll get it from Chris. So
That's good. That's good. But I'm always glad that you got a chance to come in here and have some fun, and maybe we'll bring you back in. I know it won't be as fun just because of everything that happened. The lights officially went dark on the Pac-12 network. Rest in peace.
rest
But
in peace.
maybe come September, October, we'll have you back in. We'll have a special Courtside Monday college football edition where you
Love
and
it.
I can just talk Ducks and Beavers, and we can have some fun.
We'll probably talk more about that new NCAA game that's coming out rather than the actual Pac-12.
You guys, I'm gonna go absolute ham on that.
I can't. I wish I could pre-order it. I might do it right now.
You should. I already told Chad that I'm gonna take vacation days. Like I'm out.
Perfect.
I've said this to everyone who listens, so they know. But that is the only sports game, Peyton, that I always bought brand new every year it came out. From NCAA 05, 06 all the way, I bought it every single year. I love NBA 2K. Like if I went and looked at
I do.
my logged
Yeah.
hours, I've probably logged more hours on NBA 2K than any other video game.
100%.
I buy the latest NBA 2K midway through the basketball season when it's on sale, because I'm like, I don't need the roster update, because that's all
100%.
that's all
what I did.
2K's become.
That's what I did for 2024.
Right.
The 2K24. I got it probably a couple months ago. I never played my team before. Went into my team.
Okay,
Brand new experience.
There you
Love
go.
it.
So
Can't stop playing it.
but the point is, I never bought 2K new. College football, I buy new.
100%. I am imaging in my mind NCAA 13, Robert Griffin III in a Baylor uniform.
There you go.
It's in my dreams. I
Oh,
can
yeah.
see it. Just
Yeah.
wait in a couple weeks.
I say I have the 14. It was Denard Robinson. That's
Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh yes,
That's,
I do remember that. I
It's
do
telling you,
remember
it's
that.
the greatest game of all time. I can't wait for it. By the way, you're getting shout outs here from the Stray Cat on YouTube. It just says "Go Beef." So you see,
Love that.
They're loving
Stray Cat, awesome.
it. They're loving
That's
it.
awesome.
All right, now let's talk about the newest cat in town here in Rip City, and that is Yukon Husky. He went from cat to I don't know.
I like
Animals weird.
You're thinking ahead. I
But
like
he's
this.
newest Trailblazer with the 7th overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft. The Blazers took Donovan Clingan, and I thought this was actually interesting because I wasn't super high on Clingan, kind of going in to the draft. I am high on his defense, a little bit low on his offense. I think he is very capable of becoming a good starting center in the NBA, and I think that's
Absolutely.
what we'll see. But I didn't really expect him to be available at 7. I kind of thought he was going to go 4, 6, 5, like right. I thought he was going to go before 7. But
100%.
when the pieces started to move around, you're like, it looks realistically like Klingan's going to be there. It made perfect sense to
Perfect
draft
sense.
this guy, right?
Perfect sense. And I think also just in general, this draft itself was very interesting because you heard for months and months, hey, Alex Sarr at 1. It's a lock. And then all of a sudden, everything is switching. It was so many moving parts when you get into it. And then to fall at 7 and get Clingan, a certified winner through high school and college. Fits our system well. I think it was, match made in heaven.
Right, and the SAR stuff, I mean, yeah, it was like he's number one, and then that radio silence, which really made you
Exactly.
start to think
Exactly.
that there was going to be a shakeup, and there was. He ended up going number 2 overall,
Yep.
and then Klingan falls there, and then it wasn't the only move they made. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but they traded the 14th pick out and ended up getting Danny Advia out of that. They had 2 second-round picks, traded both of them out. So they draft ended. All they got was a drafted player in Donovan Clingan,
Yeah.
and then Danny Advia. But I think they both make sense. So the question here is, how does this impact the rotations, right? And what they're going to do here moving forward? Because you still have DeAndre Ayton.
Yep.
You still have Robert Williams.
Yep.
You have Dwight Reith, who had a pretty good rookie year for the Blazers, despite the fact that he was 27 years
Yeah,
old.
exactly.
Right? Jeremy Grant, what do you do with him? So now you got bigs, right? And now you can move some things around. For me, I said this the minute it happened. Coach Billups said it in the press conference that during the introductory press conference as well. But the thing is, you look around the league and a lot of teams, Minnesota, Cat and Gobert, they're going big. Cavs, Mobley, and Jared Allen, they're going with 2 bigs. Even Denver was a team that he referenced. He's like, Aaron Gordon is a big. Like, he's played power forward most of his career.
Yep.
And if you put him at small forward, he's still huge. Like, they go big. So a lot of teams are going with the 2 bigs. And he talked about how there might be possibilities to see both Clingan and Ayton on the court together. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I know back there, you're like, what? Did he really say that? Like, what do you think that can play out? Is there any viability to that in your mind?
I think that I think my hesitation with having 2 bigs, which it's funny you bring up Minnesota because that's what I think about as well, is I think that for a guy like Clingan, that's not, I don't want to say his ceiling, but in terms of a really solid defensive player who has the ability to improve on offense, reminds me of a Rudy Gobert. This reminds me of a situation with Utah with Kessler, I think it is. Big backup center, really great defensive capabilities, has the ability to have a really strong pick and roll game with Scoot in Portland, I think. My hesitation comes with DeAndre Ayton being able to stretch the floor as much as other 4s can. Obviously, Aaron Gordon isn't somebody who's going to hit a bunch of threes in your face. He'll hit a corner 3, though, and DeAndre Ayton is one of those guys where he has a really solid mid-range game. But I just don't know if he has the ability to stretch the floor enough to give Klingan the space in the middle to kind of, dominate down there.
Right. And it is one of those things, though. Defensively, I think he's great. I think he's going to be everything that's advertised once you figure out how to play in the NBA. Quick enough to get out to the outside when he needs to, but he's going to be a lockdown on the inside. DeAndre Ayton has been good on that end, too. It gives you 2 good defenders. Can almost even go a little bit old school. I mean, look at the way it's an easy comparison because we saw it so much. But I mean, look at the way LaMarcus Aldridge played. Like, LaMarcus Aldridge wasn't stretching the floor and hitting threes when he was in Portland, right? But he did, air quotes, stretch the floor in the fact that he could hit that mid-range with ease. And that's really where DeAndre Ayton excels for a big man, too.
Very, very
so maybe
true.
you find ways to do that. Maybe it just gives you another body to go with 2 big men on the floor and battle some of these teams that like to play 2 guys. What's interesting to me is, like, depth-wise, it makes a lot of sense because Robert Williams, really good, lacks availability, right? He has been hurt and multiple stops now. Didn't even get to see him last year.
I know.
And, there he is. Dwight Reith, what's the timeline there? Because, again, he's going to be 28 years old, very, very affordable. But a guy like him might see, hey, limited window here. Maybe I want to hit free agency, see what's out there.
Yeah.
And so Clingan gives you depth, gives you the ability to trade out of Ayton if you want, just gives you versatility to the lineup. And then you can sit here and poo-poo it, right? Oh, no, you can't play Ayton at the 4. You can't do this. I think it's one of those things like have you ever tried this drink before? Oh, no, I wouldn't want to. Oh, don't knock it until you try it, right?
Totally.
Because you never know. It might work. Granted, different skill sets, but everybody, there's no way Cat can play the 4. I did say that was a good trade when it happened, by the way. I just want to point that out there.
I'll give you this.
People will be like, oh, Burkhart, you can't be right all the time. That's the point. I'm not right all the time. So when I am right, I actually remember. Okay. But again, Cat was able to really move into that 4 position, plays it a little more fluid than he did the 5.
100%.
Offensively, he's a stud. So maybe you can get those things done. I'm just not completely sold on the fact that you have to trade DeAndre Ayton right now because, again, 25 years old. if you build this thing the way you want, maybe 2 years from now, you're sitting like a play-in team. Things are really churning. And you got a 27-year-old center hitting free agency that you can give some money. You still have a guy who's behind him in Donovan Clingan who's still developing on his rookie deal. Things are looking good. And maybe you don't have incentive to trade Jeremy Grant either. I don't know. Now, Jeremy Grant does seem like the writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
That he's probably going to be gone at some point in the offseason, it feels like. A lot of smoke coming from L.A., who wants a shooter, especially now that Klay Thompson went to Dallas. Yeah, that sounds weird if you're just catching up on all your NBA news. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But, yeah, there's still a lot of moving parts. Either way, I think the center position, whether it is DeAndre or Donovan Clingan, they have opportunity here to kind of pick their path, pick their poison, and move the things around.
And I think for a team that, like, what have we been talking about since we acquired Scoot? The Blazers are so guard heavy, so many guards. Now to have versatility,
They're big, heavy.
Exactly, to have this versatility in the front court area, it's such a different thing. I'm totally on the train of you do not need to make a decision on Ayton right now. I think this honestly is going to be really good for Ayton to make him a better player. What has been the thing with Ayton since he got drafted? It's been the conversation of, is he going to bring maximum effort in and night out?
Yeah, mentality, right?
Exactly. So I think that having a certified winner in Clingan to come in and say, hey, I'm gunning for starting spot, it makes Ayton say, hey, I'm going to either play the 4 and I'm going to really have to push myself, but it gives a guy on your tail. It gives you a guy to chase you a little bit and say, hey, listen, I'm here to play a lot of minutes. That's what I'm here for. And Robert Williams was never able to do that, like you said, because of availability. So I think that can help the situation a little bit too. Maybe not for Robert Williams in my eyes.
Yeah. And I think even for Donovan Clingan, too. I mean, if you want a guy who, the fact that he prides himself on defense, I think makes every single Blazer fan's ears perk up a little bit. Like you could tell in the introductory press conference that when they mentioned defense, like he just didn't say it because, that's what he's supposed to say. You could tell that this guy likes playing
prides
defense.
Himself on it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's great. And this type of guy, too, hasn't, at least to this point, hasn't had that air quotes baggage, right, attached to him, the mental side where, he gets down if he's not getting the ball, or he gets this, he gets that. And maybe that's refreshing too, because that's something that you did get with DeAndre Ayton. Granted, I think he got out of that a little bit because he started his Blazer tenure in the doghouse because he was that guy. The reputation came and he was that guy. Got out of it, and I think that's why you saw a better DeAndre Ayton by the end of the year because his head was clear, he was focused, he knew what the plan was, and he was playing really good basketball. Because what I loved about DeAndre Ayton is you saw him find that comfort zone, get out of that doghouse, like I said. And by the end of the year, I mentioned to Chad all the time we were at the games, like he was a coach on the floor. You'd see him barking at players like, no, well, if I'm going to go under and sit back here, you go over here.
Yep.
You like, this is where I need you to be. Like he was coaching up, which is great. But I bring this all around because, again, there was that mental thing. You never know if it comes back. The center before him, Yusuf Nurkic, that was almost the exact same tag on him when he came in from Denver, right? He's disgruntled. He's not good for locker room. He's not this. It ended up being great.
Yeah.
But it ended up getting to the point, too, where, it starts to rear its ugly little head. So maybe you get a guy who doesn't have that style about him, and it's just a breath of fresh air a little bit.
100%. And I think that's what a lot of teams are looking for now. A lot of teams are looking for guys to come in and do that work that a lot of people aren't willing to do. So if you have a guy coming in and embracing that as a part of his identity, like you said, breath of fresh air, ears are perked. I'm excited as a Blazer fan.
Yeah, I am too. I think he's going to be good. Now the next question is, everybody is automatically jumping on the sell. You got to tank because next year's draft is deeper. Cooper flag, this and that.
I've heard Cooper flag a lot of times.
Here's my take, okay? Granted, I don't necessarily think the Blazers are going to be great, but I hate this idea of always tanking because I have players on my roster right now. Ayton, Grant, Matisse Thybulle, right? I can even start leaving last year. Jabari Walker, Tamani Kamara, who are proven assets. I know what they are.
Yeah.
I can say all day long that Cooper Flag is going to be great. I don't know what Cooper Flag is in the NBA yet. I don't know what any player 1 through 50 is going to be in the NBA. So you're taking a massive risk on a what if, right?
100%.
But you look at the roster now, and I sit here and I go, granted, everyone's telling me they want to tank because Cooper Flag. But I look at it, I go, you can't tell me that a team with Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, Danny Advia, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, say those are your starters for a minute, all right? And then rotation players of Scoot Henderson and Matisse Thybulle and Tamani Kamara and Jabari Walker or Robert Williams and Donovan Clingan
Yeah.
isn't a team that can win games and be good.
And that's one of those things where you look on paper, it's similar to, well, I'm not going to make that comparison. That's not fair. This is one of those things where it's like you have, at what point, it's almost like thinking vets are there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, as much as it is so, so exciting to wait for the draft and have all these things happen and bring in great new talent that's so promising, there is a very positive thing that comes with having a great, like, it's almost just like, it almost is like you're saying poo-pooing the whole thing. It's like, we just did great. Let's wait till next year to do that. It's like, we just made massive improvements.
Mm-hmm.
We just made these moves to get better, and we look really good on paper. And once again, it's one of those things where it's like, as a Blazers fan, I don't want to see the team tank when you have that kind of roster that looks very promising.
On
and
paper,
looks like
it looks
can
like
win
they can win,
games.
right?
And especially with we were talking about this before the show. It's so even right now in the NBA. You don't have the last 15, 20 years of super teams. It's like we just watched the Suns, who seem to be this incredible caliber super team, lose in the first round. It's like you can compete with anybody night in and night out. And so to not do that almost feels like a disservice.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there was comments during the Riv City Drive from, I missed who it was. I have to scroll back up, and that's a lot of scrolling. So we were popping off in the comments. Oh, it was John in Salem. There it was. Talking about he thinks a 50-win team. I don't think so. I mean, Dallas just went to the NBA Finals. They were a 50-win team in a stacked West. I don't think they're that good. But it's hard to look at the Blazers, again, on paper, the qualifier here, and say that's not a play-in team with that talent, right?
100%.
It's just a matter of figuring out which way you want to go, because that's the tough part. You are either all in or you are all out, whichever way you're going. You're either deciding that, you know what, the tank ain't worth it. We're going to try to win right now and get these guys going. And that's the way you go, which I think is not a terrible idea, because at least you might finally see what you actually have in Chauncey Billups, because you give him a chance, right? Or you say, you know what, we are going to fully tank. And if you decide to fully tank and say that you really do want to focus on that draft, okay, that's the decision you made. Then to me, that means you got to find a way to get Ant, Jeremy, and at least DeAndre Ayton out.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's about as well as you can say it. I agree. I think that's something that you can't. The last thing Portland needs is to be a middle of the road team that just ends
That's the worst.
in a flat line.
Yeah.
You can't. That's just the worst
Finishing
thing that could
11th, a game
exactly.
almost
the last thing you want to do is finish, with 30 wins, and you're sitting at 11 or 12, and last thing you want.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, though. The idea of completely sending off all those guys kind of sucks to talk about, because, again, I like watching good basketball, and Ant and Jeremy and DA are good at basketball. So I like watching it, right?
Yeah.
I also happen to really like Matisse Thybulle, so I don't want to see him come, right? And that part, that sucks if that's the direction you want to go. But if the direction you choose to go is full rebuild, get all the vets out of here, bring in a bunch of other vets who are on expiring deals or things you can get out of here that aren't going to help you win, but you have Scoot, Shea, Donovan Clingan, Tamani Kamara, who's going to be part of the future, and Danny Advia. Like, you got a nice young group of 5 that you can say that's where we're focused.
Yeah.
And wherever else we get in the draft, if it's Cooper Flag, if it's whatever, we're in a good spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and like you said, it's one of those things where it's Jeremy Grant writing is almost on the wall.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in the next couple of days, but it's just, once again, going back to being so guard heavy, I want to have somebody in the locker room to help Scoot succeed. We saw him kind of in the last third of the season really to pick it up a little bit and kind of to fit into his role. But, Anthony's a guy that he's a volume guy. He needs shots to make shots. And sometimes it's really great. When it's high. And for me, sometimes when it's low, it's low. And it's hard to have that kind of back and forth during a season when you're trying to make improvements, trying to continue to win games. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you got to make a decision one way or the other.
And who says Ant has to be the decision either? Like, like here's the thing.
True.
Everyone automatically says Ant has to be the guy gone. But what if it's Shaden Sharp? right? And it gives you like say you want to go that route because that gives you a full runway for Scoot. It allows you to play Ant at the 2, which he is better at playing anyway. Like he showed some versatility at point guard this year, but he was kind of forced to.
True.
You could
What
tell that
choice
he's
did he
not
have?
comfortable being a pass first guard or
Yeah.
just a passing guard in general.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't like it either. The
No.
guy the year before was one of the best in the entire league at the catch and shoot 3 numbers.
True.
And then you put
Yeah.
the ball in his hand consistently and take him out of what he excelled at. But we've all automatically gone to Ant is the guy who's gone. Shaden Sharp, again, is very similar a little bit to the draft thing I threw out a second ago. Is like, do you know what you have in him? You know that you have a super athlete, but he's only played a handful of games. He's been injured. Where's he at?
And that doesn't even just extend to Blazers. That extends to before that, right? You know, even didn't play in college, played AAU, but like
Right.
it extends past before his NBA history. So once again, and I think that once again happens to me sometimes. Recency bias. You watch him poster somebody, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's the guy, you know, and it's so hard. But yeah, I think that once again, in terms of looking at,
Well, I watched Will Barton poster guys. He ended up being a career backup, a very good one, but a
Yeah.
career backup. I watched Thomas Robinson poster guys. He was only around for a while.
Yeah.
Like seen a lot of guys poster guys who, yeah, they were really good at making posters. But
Yeah,
Also,
totally.
you're 23 years old. Does saying someone posterized someone even count anymore? Like
I mean,
do posters exist?
posters exist.
You gotta be like, oh, he memed him.
Yeah, exactly. I guess in reality, I didn't even think about this, but it's putting somebody on a poster. But I guess
Right.
I've
Yeah.
um
Poster.
exactly.
See,
But
Young
we're
generation.
starting a new thing. Put them on a T-shirt.
Put him on a t-shirt. There you go. Put a bird on it.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's tough because I think that in terms of if you're looking to build for the future, Shaden fits that narrative more. But also, you know, it's one of those things where you got to make a decision, and I'm not the person to make that decision. I just talk about it.
That's good. That's good. We got a few minutes left here because we got to get out of here because we do have a Hops game coming up here shortly. So before we go, Peyton, let's pivot from the Blazer talk and on-air producing. Hey, Mike Oakes, whenever you want me to get out of here, you just play that outro music. I'm like Pavlov's dog, man. You hear the music, hey, I know it's time to
Exactly.
go. All
Okay.
right, so we'll get out of here and let I think Matt Rickert and Rich Burke on the call on the Hops game. Fun game. You ever get out to Hops games?
Oh yeah,
They're so fun.
love them.
They're
awesome.
so fun.
I was at the Mariners game yesterday against the Twins, lost, but
Oh.
still, like I always forget how good live baseball is.
Oh, live baseball.
It's
is
awesome.
awesome. It
It's
is awesome.
awesome.
Hops do a great job for a
True, very very
or a
true. Complex out
single
there,
A,
super
like,
nice
it's
too.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the basketball. Let's get your takes here on what has been happening over the last 24 hours here, and that is NBA free agency. A couple interesting moves. Paul George is gone from the Clippers. He is in Philadelphia now. He's pairing up with Embiid. Klay Thompson, the dynasty has been broken up. He is agreed to terms. He is now going to Dallas,
Yep.
pairing with Kyrie and Luka, which might be sneaky good if he can just stay healthy. 'Cause
Yeah,
the shot's
exactly.
going to be there if he can figure that out.
One of those things that's on paper, it looks
Right.
good.
They
Looks
wanted
good.
to put all their money and they wanted to get Derek Jones Jr., but he's gone. I think he went to the Clippers.
Yep.
There's been some moves. Isaiah Hartenstein, who had a big impact for the Knicks in the playoffs. He's over to OKC, who's had a sneaky good summer because he's a good pickup, as is Alex Caruso. So what are your take over the last few hours of the NBA and the new faces and new places?
I feel like my screen time this week's going to be up quite a bit. Just I'm on Twitter all the time. I actually funny thing. Two things on Isaiah Hartenstein. I didn't know he was from Eugene. So OKC Thunder are traveling to Eugene to offer him the contract.
That's right. That's right.
I just saw that. Didn't even realize. Crazy. And then also he is with this contract with OKC, he will be making more money than Jalen Brunson this next year. How crazy is that?
That's
How
why
crazy
makes
is
sense
that?
as to why he went to OKC.
Yeah,
then.
exactly. It's incredible to me, insane. But it's just been an uproar. It's been incredible. I don't know how sold I am. Paul George is one of those guys where you worry about the injury history. You've seen it with him and another player, Kawhi, who have injury history.
Right. You've seen it with Joel Embiid, who he's teaming up with now.
Exactly. So I'm not calling a finals lock there yet, but that's going to be super, super exciting. But oh my gosh, just the amount of moves that are being made is crazy.
I will,
but
I
it
will
is
say this.
up
I
for
think I think the I think a Maxey, Paul George, Embiid big three is far better balanced and harder to defend than a James Harden, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard big three.
that is absolutely true. I think that is especially just looking at those two things. You're like, that's scarier to me, having to guard an MVP, somebody who was, in 2019, 2020, a second or third front runner for MVP in Paul George, and then you have, oh right, Tyrese Maxey, who can drop 40 any night he wants. Really, it's one of those things that's just incredible to me. And then another one that shocked me was DeJounte Murray to the Pelicans. I almost called the police. They were stealing. That's incredible. Couple of
Yes.
seconds, just that trade was crazy to me. And it seems around kind of the time when Lonzo was hitting his stride with the Pelicans and they were being really successful. Reminds me of that. I think DeJounte can do more for that team.
Yeah, and I think the Pelicans are still going to be a team to watch here because there's been, again, smoke and rumors about Brandon Ingram possibly being on the outs because they got Murphy, who's a very, very good forward that they can plug in there. They still have Herb Jones, right, who's great for them. But I think they're a team to watch here because Jonas Valanciunas left
Gone.
in free
Yep.
agency. He went to Washington.
Yeah, that's right.
So now, where's that big? So say that Brandon Ingram is trying to go to Sacramento or San Antonio or wherever, and they need a third team to try to help facilitate that. If you're Portland, you get in on that, right? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
well, we got that logjam that we just talked about. We want to give the keys to Donovan Clingan, so we'll package DA to New Orleans, Brandon Ingram to wherever he's going, and assets and picks to Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's one of those things, too, where it's like, I'll take as many assets as you're willing to give out. It's
Right.
it's helps our team, helps development, stuff like that. Super willing to do that. And that's one of those things that seems great. It also, once again, makes me think about how many teams are kind of left high and dry, too, throughout
Right.
this process, right? This isn't a Lakers show, but the Lakers reaching out to the Blazers about Jeremy Grant.
Right.
It kind of just speaks volumes because, they're calling Clay, they're calling other people, DeMar DeRozan they're calling. It's one of those things where it's like that is something that leaves certain teams high and dry too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, a team of CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Murphy, Williamson, Ayton. I like their chances.
And that the defensive upgrade there, if BI decides to make a move with Trey Murphy and Herb Jones, Trey Murphy
Trey's
3
been
and D,
great. He's been
incredible
great.
3 and D guy.
And Herb Jones has been lockdown defense as he got in the league. So
Lockdown.
That's a fun young team there, and that is a good one because DeJounte Murray. I don't know why people sleep on that guy. I mean, he's a bucket getter, and defensively he's just so long and just he can give people fits. So
100%.
So that's a good trade there, and so that's the fun part about all this, Peyton, is seeing who goes where and then who does get left high and dry because maybe Portland calls and they facilitate and it's a 4-team deal and next thing you know, Jeremy Grant he's in Washington. He's playing, and there's the Lakers going, oh gosh, we
what
didn't
do we
get
do?
in.
Yeah.
Gosh, hey Bronny, can you play small forward?
Yeah.
Because hey, we need somebody.
Bryce, you're not going to college.
Yeah, you're not. We're that would be it. Like, okay, he's only a junior. We got to rewrite the rules here, guys. This is
What did LeBron said change the rule?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what he said?
Wait,
I think we can do that.
LeBron. Yeah, we
can do
need to change the rule to
We can do
allow
that.
high school underclassmen to
Yeah.
declare for the NBA draft.
Is there
And,
one college rule? No, that's gone. Gone. Yep.
There could be with the power that he has. I know
know.
some people think he's powerless, but
That continued to be proven wrong.
but I would say thus far, it's there's still going to be moves. Like I do not think the team that is currently representing your Portland Trailblazers on July 1st is going to be the team representing them on November 1st.
Yeah, day one. No,
But so far, I think the offseason's been good because over the last few years, and especially last year with Lillard still in tow, right? It was, which way are they going? Are they going to do this? They're going to do that. When you go and you draft Shea, and then you draft Scoot, and then you go and you get Donovan Clingan, then you get out of the draft, like you get Danny Advia. You've picked a lane.
You have,
right?
Absolutely.
And that the lane is, this is where we're going. These are the guys we want. There's still an option here whether they want to win or whatnot, but at least I feel like things are a little more clear at the moment.
Totally. And it just gives a fresh start to the limbo we've been playing for years where it's like, we're going to keep Dame no matter what. How do we get help?
Right.
That's been the narrative for years, and that's been our only goal too. So to have a lane and pick that lane
It's nice.
It's a breath of fresh air.
All right.
there.
You don't have headphones. You can't hear the music. I can. It's on. It means it is time to go. Thank you.
Love it.
So much.
Thank
You're
you
welcome
very
back anytime.
much.
Chad said you're welcome back anytime. You're a part of the
Perfect.
family now.
That's awesome.
All right. Courtside fans, you've been wonderful. But don't go anywhere because coming up next, right here on Riv City Radio 620, it's Hillsboro Hops action. Rich Burke.
Yes, sir.
Matt Rickert on the call. Have some fun with that. Thanks for joining me, Peyton. Riv City, as always, I love you.
Nice work, Captain.